Hello, everybody. Excited Utterance here. How are you all? Sorry, I'm a little bit late and grey. Reason being, I had to put my headphones on because these things, my Beats Flex, or are they? These guys started messing up, and I'm not sure why. Actually, I think it might be a StreamYard glitch because I could hear through StreamYard, but then when I brought in the video from the tab, it was playing through the speakers, and I was like, now that's really weird. That's going to cause people lots of echoes, and everyone's going to complain because I know you all complain all the time. Okay, kidding. Only some of you. Only some of you. Hello, that's a bad excuse. You see what I mean? Look, Bobby's already complaining. And people who didn't know that that's Bobby, that's Bobby. You can't fool me. Can't fool me, Bobby. That's a bad excuse. Blame Darlie. Yeah, well, he probably did it. He probably did it. Quit using StreamYard. No, I won't be quitting using StreamYard because your software shit is garbage. In fact, you're the one who got caught not ending your stream and getting clipped by David. So that won't be me. That won't be me. Yeah, Bobby's still around. That's Bobby, see? Hey, David. That's Bobby. That dude there, Sam Show, whatever it is. That's Bobby. Doxed. Doxed. See, he doxed himself by putting hot dogs everywhere. Yeah, you thought maybe he floated away on his silky locks. Nope. No, he's still around. Joke's on you, they'll never remember. Yeah, at least it's reliable. It's not. It's garbage, okay? David agrees. David's with me. StreamYard uses what? A RNG generator that scrambles your settings whenever it wants. Look, it's just the new people have bought it and they're messing with it. They put their little mousies in there. Now, okay, guys, I've been really grumpy the last few days because of the whole Rick Allen thing. And then I wasn't going to stream today. And then Dali sent me a clip of some testimony that happened today. And he was like, this is ridiculous. It's bizarre. You've got to see it. And I was like, oh, what? We've got a wee drinker? We've got a urine drinker? What? Let's go. Bring it on. I need to be cheered up. Let's go. Yes, online. This is the one where the judge ordered LNC chat to shut down. Now, I don't know why just Law and Crime's chat is shut down because other people's chats are okay. But yeah, if you go to Law and Crime, their chat is shut down. They do not have a chat on. First Amendment, I don't know, freedom of speech, people can't talk. Is Judge Gull involved? Who knows? Who knows? This is full on. Okay, so he drinks his pee. Look, he's an environmentalist. Waste not, want not. You gotta recycle. Yep. All right, so have you seen this already? Q line, hairline jokes for this trial. All right, so guys, I don't know much about this except that the actual case is a bit sad in that there was a baby who got stabbed and died. So I'm not really down for all that stuff. Like I'm here for the urine drinker. I'm here for that. So let's just get into it. Dali will be here in a sec. And you should say we drinker, so you have to explain what you mean by it. That's what I'm saying. I am calling him we drinker. Yeah. So, Court TV chat is shut down too. Sucks to be them. Sucks to be them, doesn't it? Because you know what? We have. Check out the emojis, members. We've still got our motion in lemonade emoji. We need to get out the motions in lemonade. Yay. Alrighty. Okay, now I need to share this screen because I changed browsers. I did all this stuff before we just started, so I need to share screen again because I was like, what is wrong? Alright, so just bear with me while I get this set up now. I was like doing all this troubleshooting while you guys were waiting. Okay. Apparently it has health benefits to drinking one's own wee. Oh, really, Laura? I'm not about to try it anytime soon. Oh, look, you can admit it. It's fine. It's fine. It's lemonade. Oh, dear. Okay. All right. So now he's in orange. So that means something. Okay. So just a little tiny bit of backstory. I don't want to go into it too much. You can look it up yourself or it will come out. The lady in question, what's her name? Driver. I can't remember her first name. She's on trial for stabbing her baby and she's pleading insanity. That's pretty nasty. She's pleading insanity because she was in such a crazed, cult-driven state. So good luck to her because it's pretty hard to pass the high bar of insanity. But insanity cases are always interesting because the burden is on you as the defendant to prove that you were insane at the time. So good luck. But this guy here, apparently, it's not her husband. Her husband's going to testify at some point, but he was part of the cult. So let's go. That's her. There's the defendant. And of course, people are going to be saying that she's showing no emotion and stuff, but she's crazy. So what do you expect? Or she's a narcissist. We have narcissist emojis now too.
The whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I promise that I will be honest with you.
Okay.
Yes.
What? Hang on. You're going to be honest?
Do you have some opposition to swearing? Is that
Yes,
the
I do.
concern?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you affirm that you will be honest and tell the truth today?
I just told you that I would be, and I will be. I will be completely honest and transparent in regards to the matter of which we're here today.
Okay.
And my experience with this circumstance.
Okay. Great. And can you state your full name?
Jason Allen Spillers,
All right. How old are you, Mr. Spillers?
36.
All right. And you're wearing orange.
Yeah.
Are you?
Oops, sorry. I was just going to... Apologies, guys. Boomer, I was just trying to move the subtitles for you. It doesn't look like I can. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I'm
but
just
if you do know,
telling you what I think.
Benjamin Ben Michael.
I'm so sorry. Just a bit of...
KU Peggy Schindler.
And the reason I'm asking you that is, have we made any kind of deals with you or discussed your charges with you in any way?
Actually, you
I
made
can't
it very
move the
clear
titles.
that you're
Damn.
uninterested in the charges that I have because it has nothing to do with this.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm not going to ask you anything else about that.
Okay.
So I want to know how you know Benjamin Ben Michael.
I call him Z,
Okay.
and I call Chloe Alexis Driver Kawani. Those are
Alright.
the names of which they were introduced to me as.
Okay.
So just to relieve confusion for the court and for the jury, these are the names that I still call these people by.
Okay.
So I just want to make that very clear so there's no confusion. And maybe I just want to make that very clear. So Z, I met Z in April of 2020.
What a nice
through
dude.
An associate. And we met because of an interest in trust law and using trusts to legally incorporate yourself
Hey, Taryn.
to minimize risk of obstruction by the government, like in the forms of taxes and being able to hold your properties and assets in a trust and making them safer. And there's a whole lot to that. So, I mean, you know, how much would you like for me to talk about that?
Hey.
That's just the nature of how I met him.
Okay, and that's great, and I'll just keep asking small questions till we get to all the information that
Little
we
ones.
need.
Sure.
You said that you had the interest in the trust law, but how did you actually come to know him? How did you forge that connection? Did you meet him
Well-
somewhere in particular?
What do you mean? Like,
How did you come to know he exists?
Through Peggy Schindler,
Okay, so you
Yeah.
met him through a mutual
a
contact?
mutual friend.
Okay.
Yes.
Um,
I saw Peggy in Whole Foods,
okay.
and she
Of
was
course
telling
you
me
did.
about the trust.
Whole Foods.
But she perhaps doesn't have the vernacular or the capacity to
She's a woman.
explain it.
Mm-hmm.
And so and
Seriously.
Z does. So I spoke with Z, and and then Peggy gave me the trust, and I began a relationship with Z from there.
Okay, and you said that was April of 2020?
Wait.
Yes,
Okay, hey, wait.
And
I'm
so
April.
moving
confused.
forward-
I'm already confused. Okay. Can we keep the Nick stuff out of it? Because that'll just like.
Oh,
Confused me
there
more.
is a lot of similarities that end up happening.
Okay. Dali, you've watched it, right?
Not all of it.
Okay. Can you just give. I did not give a proper, like.
My understanding, if Scott is still here, I think he saw all of it. I don't know if he was dating someone, but then he joined Peggy, and I guess Scott. I was at work, so I missed the beginning where he explains this part.
That's okay. That's okay. But is he like a. When you said, like, she's a woman,
Yeah.
like, so he's like a. In terms of the whole cult thing, the men are more important?
Yeah. They
Right.
kind of like, he's a traditionalist in that
Oh.
women have their role and
Uh-huh.
men have their roles.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And women get more emotional and are not good at making decisions.
Got
Are
you.
not as good as men.
Okay. And Peggy's vocabulary was not culty enough. Right. Okay. Who's Peggy? Is Peggy the defendant? Do we know who the defendant is when he talks?
Is
Is Z the defendant?
no, Z is the man,
Ah, okay.
her husband, I believe.
Oh, Peggy. Oh, Scott says yes.
Okay, so Peggy. Okay,
Peggy,
Peggy is a
no,
mutual.
no. Peggy's a mutual friend in Asheville. I want to know who the defendant is when he talks. So she's going to have to sort this out. Like,
Yeah,
if
we'll
we don't
figure it
get
out.
it, then the jury won't get it if we don't get it.
Prosecutor
Okay, let's
will
keep-
get there.
Yeah, prosecutor will get it. Okay, the most reasonable cult, Mavka.
Yeah.
All right, sweet. Let's
For
go.
the rest of this questioning, I'm
Thank
going
you,
to refer
Sarah.
to Benjamin
Yeah,
as Z.
that'd be great.
Okay,
Yeah, to
that will
avoid
help you.
confusion for everyone.
Okay.
Thank
And
you.
Chloe will refer
Oh,
to as
isn't he
Chloe.
kind?
Kuwani, yes.
That's how you.
Kawani.
Kuwani, Ku''A''Ni.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And is that how you were introduced to them?
Yes,
Okay, and is that how you knew them through the entirety of your relationship and still with
Yes.
them? Okay. So in April of 2020, when you met Z,
yes.
was that an in-person meeting when you first encountered him?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, and where physically were you?
In
In
a
the
park.
spiritual
We
realm.
met in a park in South Asheville.
Of course
Okay.
you did.
In North Carolina?
In North Carolina, yes.
Was he living there or staying there at that time?
Yeah, he was staying with Peggy.
Okay. And
the park?
when you met him, did you become aware of his relationship status?
Yeah,
Okay, and what did you learn about his relationship status?
that he has 4 wives actually,
Okay.
and that he practices polygamy.
Okay.
Is that the question? Is that the answer you were looking for?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at.
Sure.
At that time, were you in a relationship?
Yes, I was.
And did you exercise any type of polygamy?
No,
Okay.
Oh,
And so,
damn.
when you initially met him, did you come to know his wives?
not initially, but we did later. I believe I met Kwani briefly in
Hey,
May,
Rasim.
but we really spent
How's
some
it
time
going?
together in late May
Okay.
when I went down to Florida to visit them with the girl that I was with at the time.
Okay. So you had a girlfriend at the time?
I wouldn't call her my girlfriend, but
Okay.
you know, she was living with me, and I mean, you know, I guess
April.
you could say that I have always believed in plurality as well, that that men should have multiple women, but I was never in a committed. I mean, I was with Jen; she lived with me,
Okay.
and I took care of her. I provided her. She didn't work.
Sweet.
You know, so I provided her with food and shelter and safety, and companionship, and love, but it was never in our agreement that I wasn't allowed to see other women.
Okay.
So,
And as it relates to Z and his relationship, who were his wives that you came to know?
so their given names on their birth certificates would be Chloe Alexis Driver, Jessica Lee Kafijian, and Sarah Stiles.
Okay.
But those women will be referred to as Kuwani and Anna, Gamliana, and Shalig respectively, because those are their chosen Hebrew names.
Okay. Tell me about Jessica. You said, what did she go by as her chosen Hebrew?
Gamliana,
Gamliana?
yes.
How do you spell that?
Government names.
Gamiliana, I'm pretty sure. I'd have to look at it.
Okay.
Gamliana, yes.
And you all called her Gami?
Gami or Anna, she prefers now.
Okay.
Because she says that people have a hard time pronouncing
Aw.
Gami and they question her, so she goes by Anna now.
Gami or Anna? Okay.
Yes.
Never
Is
heard of a
that
Jewish
the
cult
decision that
before.
she made
No.
to change that from Gami
Is
to
that
Anna?
new?
Yes.
Okay. Because of
Like,
her,
like I said, she says that when she introduces herself as
Nana.
Gami, people say, what? What? God. And so
Aw.
she just goes by Anna now.
okay. And then Sarah is the legal name. What?
Shaylig.
Shaylee?
Shaylig.
How do you spell
Sheilig. It's a Hebrew word.
He's
Shaylee.
loving this.
Shaylig. It's a
Okay.
Hebrew word, yes.
All right. So, when did you meet Kawani, Gami, and Shaylee?
Like I say, I think I actually met Kawani and Gami in May before they left, like briefly at Peggy's house.
Before they left North Carolina?
They left North Carolina to go to Florida, but
Okay.
I can't remember. It seems like I did. So you're asking me, you know, this is like 5 years ago almost. So, you know, whether I met them before I went to Florida, I can't remember. It feels like I did, but that's kind of irrelevant because we went to Florida, Jennifer and I, this
Oops. Sorry.
girl that I was with at the time,
Okay.
we went to Florida to visit them and stay with them.
All right. Do you know when that was that you went to Florida to visit and stay with Z and?
It was after Kwani's birthday, which is the 18th,
Okay. Tell me when
um,
Kawani's birthday is. 18th of what?
May.
Okay.
Um,
So after May 18th of 2020, you and Michelle,
Jennifer.
sorry, Jennifer.
Yes.
You and Jennifer went to Florida,
Yes, we did.
and did you stay with Z and Gami?
No, we
Shaylee?
stayed in our van.
You stayed in your van, okay.
Yeah, but we spent all of our time with them though. Like they were staying in a motel at the time
Okay.
in Nokomis Beach.
Where?
Nokomis Beach,
Where's
Florida.
that?
It's by Venice. It's like south of Sarasota.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that when you first met them, they were in North Carolina, and then they went to Florida, that they were staying in hotels. For the duration of your relationship with them, was that routine for them to kind of move around or travel or stay in different places?
Yeah, they were moving around a lot
Okay.
at the time.
Okay.
Okay.
From what I understood, but they had been in, you know, I can't recall what they were doing before that, but they stayed in Florida and then they went to Connecticut and they would stay in different places for like months at a time.
Thank you.
You know, I know that they stayed in Florida for months. After we left Florida, they stayed there for at least another month, I think.
Okay.
And they would stay in one place, like a singular location for a few months, and then they would go to the next location wherever they decided to go. I know that Kawani and Z had been in Myrtle Beach together for
Oh,
a
Myrtle
pretty
Beach.
extended amount of time, in Virginia Beach.
I wonder
That's
if they
where
met JP.
Gamliana. So they stayed in these places for extended periods of time.
Okay, so you're aware of Florida, North
Yes,
Carolina,
Ginny.
Connecticut, Virginia,
Yes.
anywhere else?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean,
Did they ever spend time in Tennessee?
There is
I don't
no
think in
way he
extended
didn't
time.
have
I don't
Jesus
know. I can't
sandals.
remember.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean,
All right.
so
And so you indicated sometime in May of 2020, you went down to Florida and spent a lot of time with them?
yes,
Okay,
we spent a week down there.
a week?
Yeah, about a
Was that
week.
the first time you saw Benjamin with all three of the women?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yes.
And when you first met him and learned that he had three wives, sort of what was your thought process on that arrangement?
Cool.
I thought that was really interesting because usually you only see that with like religious cults like Mormonism, even though scripturally,
Mormonism?
even old Jewish and
not
Christian
really a
tradition,
cult.
promotes plurality. Like it's
No.
promoted in scripture.
They do
that
the
men have
whole
multiple wives. Like it's
polygamy.
written about all through the Bible, but you don't really see it that much anymore. Perhaps in Mormonism only. And I had spoken with Z extensively
It's
about
not true.
what was happening with his
Oh,
like his wives in this situation, and I found it pretty interesting because
It's hella
Um,
culty.
he was providing care, all of the things that a man is supposed to provide for a woman. Like I said, and it was kind of like something that I was interested in because
space facts.
like I said with Jen, I provided Jen with food, a place to shelter. She didn't work. I provided her with companionship and love, and I listened to her, and I was affectionate towards her, even though I was never in a committed relationship. But it's like the value of having a wife is profound, like the value of having that intimacy that perhaps couldn't be achieved through a non-marital relationship. And so Z had basically taken what I found to be what I wanted in life was plurality, but also incorporating the deep intimacy of marriage with multiple women. And
What's
I thought that
plurality?
I thought that was highly interesting.
multiple women.
And I was very curious to see how that played out and how that worked. And so was Jennifer. Honestly, she's like, whoa, like multiple wives, really?
Right,
Like,
Becca?
He
that's
just wants him
different.
to
Like,
ramble.
we should totally go hang out with him.
Yeah.
So we did. So we
Okay.
went to Florida. Sorry, I'm gonna adjust myself.
You're fine.
He's not going to bail out the
And
prosecutor
you
right
said you were
now.
kind of interested to see how it played out from
Or
May.
basically, like we're talking about like the social dynamic
Sure.
of a circumstance like that, which I think is really like where most people go with that. When
She's bored.
when they hear about
Oh my God, this guy
most
was such a
individuals,
loser.
She's like,
will question
yeah,
the social dynamic.
I
of
found him
such,
boring
I'd be
at the time, and
relationship.
now
How
I'm
does that
even
work?
more
Like,
bored.
what is the social dynamic?
I'd
between
go
the women
insane listening
and
to
the social
this.
dynamic between the women and the women and the men. I mean, you can see these types of shows. There's shows on television now that promote polygamy and
Like Sister Wives?
like Sister Wives.
Like
Yeah,
Sister
exactly.
Wives.
And so it's kind of like to see a firsthand perspective of that, of somebody who's really living like that. I thought was highly interesting. I was very interested in what these
Okay.
women had to say and what they were about.
Okay.
So was Jennifer.
Tell me,
So was
you were
Jennifer.
interested to hear what women had to say and what they
Yeah,
were
well, yeah, I was just curious how they interacted with each other.
Okay.
So
From May of 2020, when you said that you and Jennifer went to Florida and started spending time with them, how
That's
much
right.
time did you spend with Z and the three women from May until December of 2020?
Oh, well, there's a lot. I mean, so I went to go see them in May, and then I broke up with Jennifer. I broke off with Jennifer over the summer, so she actually never saw them again.
Okay.
And then I stayed in Connecticut at Z's parents' house at the Joyce home in Connecticut in September for, I think I was there for about a little over 2 weeks.
Tell me about his parents. What do you know about them?
Oh, I love the Joyces. They're good.
Oh, I love him.
Mike Joyce is great. Is a good man.
His weed tastes
Michelle
amazing.
Michelle Joyce is very. They're
Don't
very
drink
powerful
others'
people.
urine. That's
Even,
gross. You drink your own.
They're like really intelligent. They're highly
sorry.
intelligent people.
You don't get the same
highly well-spoken
nutrition-
about their,
nutrition.
traditions and values.
no.
And they're very warm and open and welcoming.
He's
folks.
so
Are
warm.
his biological parents still married?
Yes. They
Do you know what they do for a living?
Michelle sells real estate and Mike works at a factory.
Does he like
Works at a factory?
Like a machine shop.
Okay.
cool down his urine?
So you said you went to Connecticut and you stayed at his parents' house?
That's
Yes,
ice
Okay.
cube.
And
Oh, okay.
how much time did you spend at his parents' house?
Like I said, I was there for a little over 2 weeks, I think.
Okay. Was he there with the three women as well?
Kawani and Gamiano were staying there, and Shaylig was there sometimes, but her parents also live in Connecticut, so she was at her parents'
He
home,
respects
too.
the sanctity of their
Okay,
marriage,
so,
though.
Shaylig's parents are from Connecticut as well?
Yeah, they live like, I don't know, it's
He
like
won't even
45 minutes
touch
down
her.
the road in Southbury.
Okay. So Gami and Kawani and Z and you spent time at his
Yeah,
parents'
we
house
sure did.
while Shayla spent time with her family?
Yeah, I was sleeping in my van. Again, I had a van
Okay.
that I stayed in.
Okay.
And so I was sleeping in the driveway.
It was a
of the
great van.
And was it, from your observations, was it common for these women to go spend time with their families outside of their relationship with Z?
I mean, if they wanted to.
Okay.
I don't think, I mean,
Horse.
I didn't really get the feeling that Kawani or Galiana were very, like, you know, enthusiastic about going to spend time with their parents.
Okay.
And that they
It's
loved
a
their
bad
husband and
white.
stayed with them.
Okay. But Shayla wanted to go see her family in Connecticut?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just like a matter of convenience too, because they're all like staying at the house and.
All vans
you
are
know,
white.
She went back and forth, you
Okay.
know, so.
Did you ever meet the parents of Shayla, Gami, or
I've met all these people.
Kawani?
I've met them all.
You met all of
So
them?
I.
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Their parents
Tell me
must
the
be so
circumstances
proud.
under which you went into their families' homes.
Let's see. I met Phil and Nancy Kafijian in October of 2020. I have actually stayed with Ben and Sharon Stiles at their home in Connecticut.
He's so
I
proud.
stayed there for the better part
God,
of a
their
month.
house still
For-
smells.
At Shayla's parents, basically did. And I've met Eric and Renee Driver.
God, there's
on
no amount of
several
incense you
occasions. I
can
met them for
light
the
to
first time
cleanse this courtroom.
in the summer of 2020, I met Kawani and Z and Eric and Renee Driver at a river in.
They gave up
Tennessee,
trying to
and we
clean
spent the
all,
day
all
together.
their glassware.
That was the first time I
So
met them.
Phil and Nancy Kajian are
Jessica's parents,
Jessica or
Gamliana.
Gamliana's
Yeah, I knew
parents,
that. We're gonna
okay.
try to avoid this confusion.
Where do they live?
They live in Virginia Beach.
In Virginia Beach, okay.
Yeah,
And then you said that Shayla's parents live in Connecticut.
yes, they do in
And do
Southbury.
you know where Eric and Renee Driver, Kawani's parents live?
In Knoxville, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I've never been to their house, so,
Okay. All right.
but I know that she's from Jacksonville originally.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
he's
I
in
think they
jail.
moved
He's in jail,
to Knoxville.
but for something else.
Yeah, I believe threatening someone online.
And
Hey, AG.
do you
Hey, Kat.
know what the order of the women coming into
Bob.
this marriage was? Like
Yes.
who was first?
Yeah, it was Kawani first.
Okay. Do you
And
know
the-
how long she had been with Z? Like as of 2020 when you met him, how long they've been together?
Gosh, you know, I don't know the answer to that question. Years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who came next?
Jessica Gamliana.
Okay. And how long had she been with him?
I think like Kawani
Hey, babe.
maybe had been together. since
Hear
she
me
was, like,
out.
Right when she was 18.
I got an idea.
And then they met Gami a few months later.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know the answer to these questions
Okay.
exactly.
If you don't know, then
Yeah.
that's
What?
I'm just thinking, what an awkward conversation that has to be. Like you're married to a girl, and then you're like, "Okay, I got a crazy idea. What if we got somebody to help you out with the housework and the chores
Yeah.
around here? Because you're
Yeah.
pretty busy. I'm just saying. Okay, somebody to help cook dinner alternate nights of the week. You know, just
Yep.
hear me out.
That should sort it out.
This
Yep.
could go well,
It could.
and and then we can
Yeah.
see what happens from
We
there.
can figure out how we can fit her in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, David, and anyone else who's wondering, no, it's not a custody case, though he is blaring on. And I don't know why this is the state's case, right? The
Yeah.
prosecutor, yeah, right. Okay, so I don't know why the prosecutor's just letting him blare on.
It's her witness, and defense is not going to object because he just wants the.
It's not hurting things.
No, I think on direct, this really helped the defense. That's
Yeah,
just my
unless-
opinion.
Okay, well, I mean, so he is one of the cult members.
Yeah.
This is State versus Driver, and the chick in question, she stabbed her baby to death.
And then stabbed herself.
And then stabbed herself, but no one really cares about that because she's fine. And she is pleading insanity because she was in a cult-driven psychosis or something.
Yeah.
And so he's testifying to the fact that she was part of the cult or something, but I'm sure that the state's trying to prove that she knew what she was doing, so
Yeah.
that's what he's up there for. Does that answer your question? Because that's the best I can do.
fine.
I'm
but
just
if you
like
do know.
telling you what I think it is.
Okay.
It's kind of like I haven't really considered that. I haven't, I'm sure I was told at some point, but I mean, golly,
And from your
Golly.
understanding, who was the last woman to kind of enter the picture?
Shaylee.
Shayla.
Yes.
And when you
Let
met
him
them, do you have
talk.
any idea how long Shayla had been in a relationship with Z?
I'm gonna guess like 6 months or something like that.
Okay, so pretty recent.
Yeah, within a year. It had been within a year.
Okay. Do you still have a relationship with Z?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and do you know whether
What?
Shalig and Gami are still with him?
Yes, they are.
They are.
They are
okay.
very much still with him.
Okay. All right. So when we were talking about the sort of the social dynamic of polygamy and sort of your interest in that when you met Z,
Yes.
what did you observe?
Teach me,
about
master.
Sort of his treatment.
What
of the
dude
women,
wouldn't be
their
interested in
interaction and
polygamy?
treatment toward him, like what was that? From
I
your
observed a
perspective?
very beautiful, healthy relationship.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
Clearly,
that,
very healthy.
All like they would wake up every morning and talk about feelings, which I thought
Oh.
was really cute.
Talk
And
about feedings?
feelings.
Oh, feelings.
Like they would wake up every morning, they would be in the hotel, and Z would wake up with these girls, and they'd all wake up and sit around and talk about feelings and how they felt that day and why they were feeling that way. And he would sit and be patient and kind and caring to them,
Okay.
and treat them the way a wife should be treated, with compassion and patience and love. And even Jennifer and I, we both observed this, yeah, I was actually a little surprised at the amount, like the absence of like petty argument and jealousy, because you have to kind of expect that. That's what Jen said too. Like we were like, wow, this is really like they really have a healthy thing here, that they're all interacting with each other. They all share the same type of value for humanness. That like there's a real value here that you don't see in a lot of individuals. Like most people act solely in self-interest, and that's not what you saw with these girls and their man. And it was just really sweet, actually. Like Z was always
That look on her
very kind to
face.
them, and they all got along. Like I didn't see, we stayed there for over a week in the van, and we didn't see any bickering, and we were with them all day, every day,
Okay.
like this whole time.
And that was the week
so-
you spent with them in Florida in May of 2020?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
When you left Florida, I asked you sort of the broad question of how much time you spent with them between May of 2020 and December of 2020.
Sure.
But after that week in May, when did you later spend chunks of time with them and where?
Well, like I said, I met up with Z and Kiwani and her parents at a river in Tennessee.
Do you know when that was?
Gosh, sometime in the summer of 2020. I actually cannot remember exactly when that was.
Okay.
And then I stayed with
Yep.
I stayed with Z. I stayed in his parents' driveway for a few weeks in September.
Reincarnation
And then I
of Charles
And then I
Manson.
came to Virginia Beach in the middle of October, and I stayed there for about 3 weeks with Z and Kiwani, and Gamliana too. Sarah Shalig was in Connecticut at that time with her parents.
Okay, so in October, you spent 3 weeks in Virginia. Shaylig was with her parents.
That's right.
And Kuwani and Gami and you and Z were together in Virginia?
That's right.
Okay. I want to get signed back into this computer.
I think so far he's charming.
Let me show you what's
He
on
is.
Exhibit 84.
He's a
Do you
sweetheart.
recognize who
He
this
is.
Okay.
That's
He
fine.
cares about feelings.
I wonder when he drinks his urine in
Jessica
jail.
Kafijian Gamliana, who prefers to be called Anna now. and
I have
told
no
her the
doubt.
change is a little difficult for me.
All right. Your Honor, this time I'm contender states 84.
What do you do it in the morning,
States 84.
evening, after dinner, lunch?
It depends what's for dinner, I suppose.
True.
If it's chicken, if it's a white meat, then you'd go for the white wine.
All right, so this is Gami.
That is Jessica Kafijian Gamliana.
Okay. Do you know how old she is compared to Kuwani?
Jessica's birthday is June 3rd, 1988.
June 3rd, 1988?
That's right.
Okay, so she's older. And this is Exhibit 85. Do you know who this is?
Yeah, that's Shaylee. That's Sarah Stiles.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's quite gay. Sitting around talking about feelings.
Yeah.
It's admitted.
And
But he was getting multiple chicks at once, so
how
it
old
was
is she?
working.
Shaylee was born February the 8th, 1997.
February 8th, 1997.
Yeah, it is weird how he remembers all their
How do you know all these women's
birthdays.
birthdays? Is that something that's
I have a
important?
partially photogenic memory.
Okay. Would that be information that you seek out about people that you care about, or that
No,
you?
I don't even try to remember.
Okay, you just remember it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the nature
Partially.
of my mind.
Are these pictures the same?
Wait. we're going to play that back. That's the nature of my mind.
Not about people that you care about, or that
No,
you...
I don't even try to remember.
Okay, you just remember it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the nature of my mind.
Need that as a soundbite.
That was brilliant. That's the nature of my mind.
And he does not have a photogenic memory.
He has a partial photogenic
Whatever.
memory.
He
He
forgets a
said
lot.
photogenic. He didn't say photographic. He said photogenic.
Oh, okay.
Right? Yeah. So photogenic means that you look pretty in a photo. You idiot.
Are these two pictures the scene that you remember of December the 8th of 2020, being at that residence?
Oh my gosh, that is the inside of Jerry's house, isn't it?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't know the inside. I was gonna say
I am
because I
jealous.
see the picture of Shaylee there, and I'm like, wow, that's really messy. Like, because they never kept a messy place, but Jerry does.
Okay.
So I see that there. That is the inside, because like you see all the dirt and like just like it's kind of nasty looking. I was just like, where was this picture taken? Because they do not keep
She's
a
laughing.
house like that.
Okay.
But Jerry definitely does. Jerry's kind of a slob, self-admitted.
Hang on, wait. I need to see this again.
I'm not trying to-
Wait, is she laughing?
Yeah.
Oh,
Because he doesn't keep an unclean house like that.
Okay.
So
Hang on.
but Jerry definitely does. Jerry's kind of a slob. So
I can just see, like, if Laura Crime and Court TV chats were on, they would go berserk.
I know.
How dare she laugh? Narcissist.
admittedly on his part. So I'm not trying to.
Okay.
He'll admit that.
All
so.
right. Tell me a little
He was
bit
a
about
witness to
that.
this.
You said they keep a clean environment.
They
in
have to
terms
call
of
them.
sort of the dynamics of the group when you were with them, did they have any viewpoints about like diet or like health in terms of?
Oh yes, very much.
And-
That's like a part of the way that they live, and it's part of the way that I live too.
Okay. And what were sort of were you all like-minded in that way?
Yes, very much. And that's
Okay.
one of the things that that I liked about Z immediately was that the way that he cared for himself and the way that he cared for his women.
What do you mean by that?
First of all, like there's like a standard of purity. I've been on and off vegetarian for most of my life.
On
I
and
met
off.
them, and they're vegans.
Okay.
They eat no processed sugar. They eat extremely healthy, like no vegan. And the reason why they don't eat animal products is because of the inhumane treatment of animals. So it's like it's viewed as like an innocent life. So you have an innocent life in this animal, and Z feels that we are not entitled to take that life. And that was actually something that I picked up from Z, because before I had just been a vegetarian for my own health purposes. But then he told me about his reasoning for veganism, and I agree with him. It's like one of the things that I met Z when I went down to visit them in Florida. I hadn't been a vegetarian for a very long time, like 2 years. It had been 2 years that I'd been on a meat eating diet, and I got back around them, and I was influenced in a positive way, I would say, by being around them and being around their health again. And so I immediately went back to vegetarianism, and I've been a vegetarian ever since.
Okay.
Back to my routine. And Jen did it with me too,
Okay.
for the remaining time that she was with me.
All right.
We immediately switched back to vegetarianism.
Was everybody, during the time you spent with him between May of 2020 and beyond, was everybody
He wasn't
strict
sleeping
vegan?
with his
Yes.
wives,
Okay.
And they also used like no drugs or alcohol whatsoever.
with the other guy's wives.
Which
And
is
what was the reason for that?
He wasn't.
because
yeah,
it's like toxic.
that's
Okay.
And
unfaithful.
because it's like it dilutes your mind and your ability to process and be your
Great.
most pure and able self.
Okay.
Great, he's a sober
Were
hippie.
there any viewpoints surrounding like water or what kind of water they could consume?
What do you mean?
Just do they have any rules about what water they drank?
I don't know that I can speak to that specifically. I mean, I know that, but I will say that reverse osmosis water, I know that Z drinks reverse osmosis water, and so do I. I've been filtering my water reverse osmosis for the past 20 years.
What the hell?
Because, you'd
I
like
do
to
that.
get there's a lot
Okay.
of particulates in the water, especially, you get the water out of
I don't know
the
what that
sink,
is.
out of the tap here, it's full
Really?
of chemicals.
No.
And fluoride and chlorine and things that are
Hey,
heavy
petrified.
metals that are
It-
unhealthy for your brain and body
Okay.
that should
It
really
takes-
be avoided at all costs by everyone. But like I said,
Pause.
very few individuals take the time.
Reverse osmosis comes in stages, usually 5-stage, and it's just running the water through carbon and cloth filters and then a membrane type filter. It basically takes everything out of the water. So it's just pure H2O.
Okay. You
And
do
then-
this.
Yeah, I do. I have a filter in my kitchen.
Okay. Is this yes, Mavka? Is this some sort of pseudoscience? Are you sure that it actually does anything to your water?
No, it does. I've have a testing meter, TDS, total dissolved solids. It should be below like 10 ppm.
Okay. Sure.
But
it
also-
doesn't take pee out.
No, it does take pee out, but you're
Sorry.
well, no, his kidneys kind of are a reverse osmosis type thing too.
Yeah, that's what your kidneys are for, right?
Yeah.
For filtering out crap.
I love it,
Right.
Mads.
Sure. Okay, let's get going. Thank you for answering that.
Yeah,
Oops.
sorry.
Oh, sorry, wrong one.
To care for themselves at this like level of impeccability, and so that's something that I respected about them very much, and attracted me to become closer and better friends with them.
Okay. From your perspective, was the observation of these practices something that was inherent in them or something that required discipline from them?
No, definitely not. Like Kawani was the one who was like giving me a hard time about eating meat when I was in. She's the one who's like, you know, she's like, you just don't care about the animals, do you?
Testy.
And I'm like, she's like, maybe you're just an asshole. And I was like,
Maybe you were just an asshole?
Yeah.
Okay, and you're talking about.
She called him an
Kawani was sitting right
asshole.
there.
Okay.
And I said, maybe I am, you know, and maybe I should stop eating meat because of this reason, not for my own health purposes.
Okay.
You know, because of the taking of life and because, you know, it's better to live that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, maybe you're right, young lady, you know, like I see where you're coming from. And so I actually went back to vegetarianism then.
Was she expressive in communicating about sort of her belief system of subscribing to these practices?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not like it was like forced,
Okay.
you know, it's like, it's pretty logical, really. You know,
Okay.
it's like,
No.
and it's like, I mean, it makes sense. It's like, this is impeccability. This is taking care of yourself in the highest regard. This is eliminating toxic waste from your body. This is
By drinking
living a
the
life that's
toxic
clean and
waste.
pure, without drugs and alcohol of any type, including caffeine.
Okay.
You know, no nicotine, no alcohol of any type. They don't drink at all.
Okay.
You know, so it's like, it's really rare to find that level of commitment of care to yourself.
David.
And all of these girls were just on board with it. You know, they were like, of course they are, because it makes sense and you feel better and you feel healthier and you're like, you know, representing something that is separate from the regular world of toxicity and negligence to one's own well-being.
Okay. You mentioned that during your, I've used kind of December of 2020 as like a date just because of the incident that we're here
COVID.
for, but
Yeah, we'll get there.
how long did you spend time with the group even beyond that date?
Oh,
How
yeah,
does he
so
feel
it's
about
what you see now.
masks?
I was in Shayla's parents' house for a month in March of earlier this year. Like,
Okay,
you
so
know,
for the last 4 years,
I've
you've
been-
maintained constant communication and contact
most
and friendship
definitely,
with them? Okay.
most definitely, and we've all been very hurt by this, and we've
Okay.
worked through this together and as the best we can.
All right.
You know?
So you mentioned that they didn't consume any drugs or alcohol. Are you referring to sort of illicit drugs or just all drugs? What do you mean by the term drugs?
Anything that is psychotropic in nature.
Okay.
Anything that's like no pharmaceuticals, no alcohol,
What a
no
boring man.
drugs of any kind.
Okay.
What do you mean? What drugs are there?
I
I
guess
love how
I
he
can get
answers
into
the
sort of
question,
like,
then asks, "What do you mean?"
modern
Yeah.
medicine or treatment of ailments or like healing practices? Like, did they have sort of didn't adopt the traditional worldview of like the exercise of medicine?
Yeah, none of these girls really had very many ailments.
Okay.
So, I know, but you mean like ibuprofen?
Sure.
Definitely not.
Okay.
No.
I prescribe to these systems myself. Like, I don't
Okay.
take those kinds of drugs either.
All right. And was the whole group sort of like-minded in that way?
They're all for it, yeah,
Okay.
100%.
So were there sort of healing practices or things that you all did for your bodies that were not traditional?
I mean, like what?
Like drinking your own urine?
Sure.
Okay.
I've been drinking my urine daily for 4 years.
Okay. Can you tell me, like, obviously that's not traditional in a broad.
Well, it was in the past when people understood their bodies.
Okay.
Now we've become so deranged and diluted and essentially live in a psychotic
Yeah,
society
chat.
and an addiction to pharmaceuticals and alcohol and toxic food that we have become so diluted and separate from what it means to be
Rewind,
healthy,
rewind.
on
No,
the
no,
deepest
no,
and most
let
fundamental
it go.
cellular levels that we would describe an attempt to achieve homeostasis in the body. Yeah, so urine therapy is non-traditional in today's modern terms of, our deranged society, toxic society. But it's actually written about by medical doctors. It's written about by people all over the world. There's if you go online and look up urine therapy, there's 15 books.
Urine
available,
therapy?
written by allopathic medicine doctors, homeopathic medicine doctors.
Urinalysis.
Written by shamans and gurus from the East. Written about by regular everyday people who have healed themselves, who claim to have healed themselves of things such as cancer by drinking their urine.
Okay.
And it tells all about.
All right, who wants to have this in their Google search history? Urine therapy. You're going to yeah, you're on it. Darling?
Yeah, okay.
You're
Urine
on it?
therapy.
Sorry, I'm not doing.
Oh, and
this.
high blood pressure for eczema,
Right.
before and after looping for wrinkles.
Does he drink directly from the faucet?
Okay, so it can cure acne. Oh, you have to apply first urine on face. What diseases can urine cure? Asthma, arthritis, allergies, skin conditions, eye conditions.
What?
Urine has been used as to bathe itchy eyelids, and urine has been used as eardrops. Urine therapy has been offered in some cancer clinics in Mexico, but there are no well-controlled studies that support its effectiveness.
Yeah, okay. So we're all just deranged.
Yes. Millions
Okay.
do it.
Billions.
Including drinking one's own urine and massaging one's skin or gums with one's own urine.
What's the odds this guy's working on a manifesto?
Why is first morning urine better? Because there's a higher concentration of HCG than at night, when urine typically becomes more diluted.
Yeah, okay, that would make sense.
It's been used from the 18th century to the present.
I understand it being used in the 18th century.
Stem
Not now,
cells
though.
have sometimes been found in urine. Is urine the miracle drug no one told you about?
Is it? Well, now I'm finding out from this dude. Does it taste like chicken? I'm sure it smells very familiar.
How long does urea take to work skin? After using a lotion with urea once or twice a day for 2 to 3 weeks, you should notice an improvement in the texture of your skin.
But no one will go near you anyway because you stink.
Yeah, let's see. Why do people drink urine? Healing wounds in the mouth, improved eyesight like carrots, replacing lost nutrients, boosting the immune system, supporting thyroid health.
Okay, all right. Let's listen more.
If you want to do your research, urine is from the word orin, meaning light. And
Orin.
basically it's like when you go to an oncologist.
Oh my God, now he knows
And
Latin.
they take a urine sample instead of a blood sample. That's because the urine is more telling of the malfunctions in your body. And so allopathic, homeopathic, and people from all types of different natures write about, the photonic realignment of your DNA
So
through
why would-
urine therapy. So urine has discarded nutrients in it, but those nutrients have passed through your kidney and bladder and are now contained within orin, the light production of your body. And it needs to be understood, and this is just very common programming in the world, that urine is waste, and it's literally an antiseptic. It's the opposite of waste. Your stool is your waste. Your urine is an antiseptic. It's a true sterilant, and it's antibacterial. That's why Boy Scouts 101, when you have an injury or you have a snake bite or a jellyfish sting or something like that, and you use your urine to sterilize and to act as an antiseptic and act as an antibacterial immediately on open wounds in the flesh.
What?
So you could think about this
Okay,
as,
no.
the same type of thing that's happening inside.
Right, so someone's hurt, and he pisses on it.
I've heard of that with jellyfish stings.
So
That
someone comes screaming out of the water, and they're like, "Ah!"
Well, I
And he
know
gets
that.
his-
I don't know if
he gets his dick out, and
that is a real. I don't know if it really works, but that is something that people have said before. I've never heard of urine for anything other than jellyfish, though. And just think this is in the transcripts for all time now. Like if this goes up to appeal, there's going to be more judges reading these transcripts like, what?
And Googling it. Yeah.
Side of your body. We're talking about like antibacterial, you know,
How long have you been engaging in that practice as like a,
gosh, I'll
do you
like,
consider it a healing practice or like a health routine?
well, to me, it was a healing practice at first. And I would say that the first year, it took me probably like 6 months to a year. But actually, I would say maybe a little less than that. I think for some individuals, they would probably, you know, that would be a healing practice for at least a year. But I was considerably healthier and
So he,
more fit than the average individual.
Okay.
Like I said, I've been filtering my water, all the fluoride and chlorine out of my water for like 20 years since I was in high school.
Okay.
You know, like
and
I started these
I bet he
practices
voted
very
for
young. I
Trump.
just
Get that
realized
fluoride out of
you
the
know,
water.
It's like, would you like to have toxic waste and heavy metals in your water, or should we filter
No,
these out?
sirree.
You know, I mean, it doesn't really take a genius to figure this out. Like, we should be taking these steps to heal ourselves and to and not only heal ourselves but as a health practice. So I'd say like for the average individual, I think their first year of urine therapy would be more of like a healing.
Look
at
I don't really know
Did you
him.
start your therapy practice before you met Z?
No, actually, but I didn't learn about it from Z. I learned about it from Peggy.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
He
I
voted
started
for
drinking my
Kanye.
urine, and after about a month, I was Z never even mentioned that.
Okay.
But after I'd been drinking my urine for about a month or something, I was like mentioning it to Z. He's like, oh yeah, he's like, yeah, we do that too.
Okay.
You know, so I actually know a couple dozen individuals who drink their urine regularly.
A couple dozen? Okay.
Yeah, sure do.
And
Sure do.
as far as Z and Kuwani and Shalig and Gami, did they
don't
all
worry, he's
participate in your
crossed on
therapy
As
this.
far
also?
as I know,
Okay. Did you ever know of anybody forced to participate in that practice?
no, I didn't actually. All the individuals that I've met, or it's kind of like one of those things. That's like, oh, I didn't even know about that. You know, like I didn't know until Peggy told me. And then I started doing my research online, and it turns out there's a lot more people that do it than, like, there's this guy who I really respect online. His name's Troy Casey. He's a certified health nut. He's like an influencer.
A
on
certified
Instagram.
health
And
nut.
so he
Yes,
and,
a
like,
health
several
nut.
other
You can be
individuals
certified
that
in being a
really
health
promote,
nut?
Like urine therapy, they do it all the time.
Okay.
You know, so it's like it's a little more mainstream than you would think, and unless you know about it, and then you hear about it, and it's like, oh, this is a lot more mainstream than I thought.
Just mainstream.
You already kind of just spoke about the sort of group's collective views on medicine or traditional medicine.
Sure.
Were there any
Mainstream.
other types of healing practices to either like center themselves or strengthen their mind or their body that you were aware of?
Gosh, I mean, I personally use all kinds of, like, I use Rife machines. I've watched people have miraculous healings from Rife machines.
And what is that?
A Rife machine is a frequency generator developed by Royal Raymond Rife in the early 1930s at the University of San Diego, Southern California. And this man found that, and you can do your research on this, anybody who's interested. This man found that when exposed to certain, that everything has a frequency and vibration, because that's the nature of reality. It's just an atomic structure. And so to understand the fundamentals of science, which we're all taught in school, but it just doesn't seem to sink in to a lot of people, you know, that everything that we're experiencing right now, the air is mostly nitrogen and the matter is it's mostly carbon. So we have a atomic pixelated holograph reality, and these things have been written about from, you know, the 1927 Solvay Convention in Physics and beyond, even to Michael Talbot and Carl Sagan, who write about the nature of reality. And so everything has a frequency and vibration, including illnesses inside of the body. And so this man, Royal Raymond Rife, was able to find that these illnesses, specifically tumors and things like MS and certain other illnesses, have a certain vibrational frequency. And when exposed to certain frequencies, now we're talking about particles and waves, which is, you know, another foundational cornerstone of science, of the understanding of science, quantum physics, and reality. When you have the
This is so great.
particulate matter of a tumor inside of your body, it may be exposed to the wavelengths of certain frequency vibrations, and it destroys tumors. I've watched some pretty miraculous healings. People being on their deathbed to walking around cancer-free.
Were those things that,
No, that's just me.
Okay.
You know, I'm just introducing this to, you know, to the world.
Okay.
Here,
Oh,
right
are
now.
you?
I'm
let
live
me
on-
ask you about, and
This is his moment.
I've got to just keep
But
it.
Z knows about frequency. Z knows about Rife machines too.
Okay.
You know, so I'm just curious, like, which ones?
Let me ask a more direct question.
Yeah, please.
Are you aware of them using any type of sensory deprivation or dark therapy?
Dark therapy, yeah, in the teachings of Montauk Chia.
Okay.
This
can
guy's
you
going to
tell
plug
me
his
about
YouTube channel.
Okay, so I did dark therapy in September of 2020. I actually did it after I left.
Oh my God, you're balding,
Um,
sir.
I
You're in therapy.
I had,
Doesn't
like,
treat
a small
that.
bungalow style house, and so
I'm sure there'll be a
taped off
miracle.
The bedroom and the bathroom, and I blacked out all the windows, and I retreated into into a meditative place for 432 hours.
Okay. And was
How long's
meditation
that?
or sensory deprivation or dark therapy, was that
432
something
hours?
that Z and the three women also subscribed to and participated
Z
in?
did dark therapy
2
like
weeks.
10 years ago.
Okay.
You know, he did dark therapy, but at the time when I met them, none of the women had done dark therapy.
Okay.
Gamliana was the first one to do it, and she did it for 2 weeks at my house in November of 2020.
Okay.
Like,
And
she was the only one to have done that at that point.
what brought about her doing that? Did she want to do that, or was she
Absolutely.
made to do that?
No, definitely not.
Okay,
Like,
so
Z never
Pretty sure
made
he's a
me do
guest
anything.
host on Art Bell.
I mean, it's like they volunteered because they're interested in the same type of achievement. I know Shayla did the dark therapy for a very long time.
Okay.
She went into the dark for like 2 months.
okay.
Yeah, and will speak highly of it. you
How
know,
many
but she was
hours is
seeking
2
it.
months?
She was seeking. I mean, Z didn't say go be in the dark. You know, it's like that's not the thing.
And
you know,
in practice of dark therapy or sensory deprivation, do you come out of it whenever you feel ready, or is it something that like you're locked in even if you don't want to do
I mean,
it?
no, what you're asking is like a personal question.
How do you
about the
collect your
individual who's
urine?
Embarking on their quest for enlightenment. You know, so you're asking me to, speak to the nature of another individual's personal. I set a time. I was like, I'm going in for 432 hours, and when that time was up, I came out.
Okay. And
You know.
from your observations of
Oh, he set
the
a
rest of the
time-
group, was
timer.
that personal to them? Did they make choices about whether they wanted to do it and how long they wanted to do it?
Sure.
Okay.
But it's also, the kind of, it's like, as I was raised in my household, and I know that this culture and society in the modern world has deviated a long way from traditional practice, but my father is the head of my house growing up, not my mother.
Okay.
Like we lived in a house where my dad set a standard, and that's what we lived by, and my mom was a wife, that, lived that, her dad, like it's a patriarchal household,
So
and my mom was never oppressed, just like these girls were never oppressed.
So you
know?
subscribed in that way to more traditional gender roles?
Yeah, more
Okay.
traditional gender roles where the man is the head of the household.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
And Z is the head of his house.
Is that biblically based or what?
No, it's psychologically sound.
Okay.
It's like, men are better leaders. They're better decision makers. They can regulate their emotions in a way that women cannot. And they're just, they're better leaders.
Did you ever
So-
see that
Preach
manifest
it.
itself in the mistreatment of
Absolutely not.
Shayla, Gami?
I've already
or
told you
Duane?
how sweet and kind he was to these women. But also at the same time, he sets a standard. If they wanted to go do drugs and alcohol, then leave. That was the thing. It's like they all lived this life with him by choice. This was not, you have to live. It's like, if you don't want to do this, if you don't want to live your life, and this is the way that I live my life now, and every woman that I've had in my life, in my entire life, has been this way, and the way that I live my life right now. When I'm free again, which it shouldn't be too long, I will be, and any women that come into my life now will live the way that I live. We will be clean vegans. We will not use drugs and alcohol in any way. You will be treated with care and respect and love and kindness and listened to. I will appreciate and respect your feelings, just as Z was doing with his wives, just
Okay.
as I've always done with the women in my life.
And
But when
if-
it comes to crucial decision making and setting the standard for the household, I am the head of the household.
Okay.
It's pretty simple.
Yes,
And you
Mads.
said, if any of these women wanted to use drugs or alcohol, they could leave.
They could leave at any time.
Did you
Like,
ever have any perception that they were not free to leave?
Absolutely not.
Okay. All right, I want to
Oh my God.
talk to you about, now you said that you spent about 3 weeks in Virginia in October of 2020, and that was with Gami's parents?
October of 2020. No, we stayed in an Airbnb in
Oh, an
Virginia
Airbnb
Beach.
in
Yeah,
Virginia?
That's
Okay.
right.
What was the reason for that location?
Oh, that's where Gami's from.
Okay.
And I mean,
Yeah,
Beautiful
Mavka.
Okay.
You'll be free soon.
Oh, fuck you, Scott.
And then after October of 2020, when you spent 3 weeks with them there, what
I
time did you
think
spend?
Scott's
there?
already said that
gosh, we were together pretty much all the
Did he?
time. from
Okay.
that
I
point.
missed it.
How did you
earlier.
spend your days? Did you all work, or like
God
what was
damn it.
the dynamic?
I worked some. Yeah, at that time, I have a background in personal fitness training,
Okay.
yoga instruction, private yoga instruction.
Oh,
and,
who could have
like,
guessed
I'm
he was
not
a yoga
certified
instructor?
nutritionist, but I offer my opinion on nutrition and health.
What's his opinion on
and
deodorant?
I work privately in these areas, and like I say, all of my financial,
He uses his
all my
piss.
financial takings and everything is private through my trust.
Okay.
So
And what about Z
Trust?
and the three women? How would you all spend your day to day? Like, what would you do during the day?
Gosh,
Or
most
a
of this
Charles
time
Manson.
from October 4th was caring for Kawani, honestly, and trying to help her find her way back to a place of sanity. Right? I mean, we use these terms insane, insane.
Here we go.
I know that these have psychological terms, and I know that these have legal terms, and so I don't mean to like, in my own ignorance to what is happening here. I mean, I may need you to educate me on
Even
which
though you're a
words are,
woman.
acceptable to use and which words are not. And but I would say at this point in time, most of the time that we spent together was trying to help to assist and do correct by Kawani to try to help her with the mental health, the severe mental health issues that she was suffering from.
Really, Caleb?
So
Yeah.
tell me in terms of timeline. You said that
And some other
you,
stuff,
in
but that's
October
the
of
main
2020, that you spent 3 weeks in Virginia,
Yes,
and then where did y'all go after you left Virginia?
Oh, she's gonna
Back to
join us
Asheville.
polycule after this.
And why Asheville?
that's where I live. That's where Peggy lives, and it's another beautiful area.
Okay, and where did you all stay in Asheville?
I let them stay at my house
Okay, so
in Candler,
all right.
41 Oakdale.
Okay.
And I let them stay there, and I stayed either in my van in the driveway, or at my parents',
Okay.
back and forth. I also stayed with my sister a little bit, but I didn't mind to open up my home to them at all. I let them stay there.
We've talked a lot about the three women
Yeah.
and Z.
Hi-yo.
During the entire time you knew them, was Hannah a part of that?
Yeah, she was there. She was there all the time. She was always around. There was never any point in time where Nimsi, as I will refer to her, there was never a point in time where
Nimsi.
Nimsi wasn't around.
Was Nimsi her Hebrew name that was
Yes.
given? Okay. May I approach the witness? Do you recognize what's depicted in Psalm 86?
Yeah, that's her.
Okay. Is this the child that you spent time around?
Yeah.
Okay. Published states 86. And you said that she was always around. How did they manage the care of Nimsi? Was everybody involved in that, or was it?
I would say it was more predominantly Kawani,
Okay.
but the other girls definitely were there to support,
Aw.
and C definitely was there to support.
Okay, we have tissues there if you need them.
Yeah.
So, all these periods of time where you talked about weeks at a time spending with him and the
Yeah.
women, was Nimsi a part of that too?
100%.
Okay.
That's my little friend right there. We grew a pretty significant bond together.
Okay. What do you
I
mean
taught
by
him urine therapy.
I mean, she was like I say, she was my friend. She would always wave and smile at me, and she would come to me and like allow me to hold her, and she wasn't always like that with everyone.
Okay.
We were definitely
Okay, this
definitely
is
pretty
good.
close.
She's showing
That
emotion.
baby and all of the individuals in the group recognized that, particularly the baby would go to me. But a lot of babies are like that. I'm like that with a lot of babies.
Okay.
Like, I come from a large family. My dad has 5 siblings and my mother has 4. They all have children. All my aunts and uncles have children, except my dad's oldest brother. And so, I'm the oldest on my mom's side. I have like 11 cousins.
I can relate.
and
I always
some of
cry
them-
until I
some
get
of those
my,
cousins have
way.
kids now, and I've held dozens of babies and been around, family and
All the
I've
babies,
spent a
the
lot
best
of time.
babies.
I've held a lot of babies, and interacted with a lot of babies. And
I'm like a politician.
She was a really bright light and a special child, and we got
God,
along.
David.
No, yeah, she was. I cared deeply, as I still do, obviously.
Let me go back. You mentioned a minute ago that, in terms of the terminology of mentally ill or insane, and you said, you're going to have to shoot me straight on that. What I want to talk to you about is just observations. I don't,
Yeah, okay.
I don't,
Well,
I don't need
that
you
we
to
can
put-
do. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
I'll
don't
get
need
you
you
to-
to put labels on anything, or.
Awesome. Well,
or-
if you find me some, I'm just speaking freely now, so there may be points in times where,
Speak freely.
words come, where I use words to describe quantity state, mentally
Sure.
impaired, insane. Like, I only, erratic, manic behavior, I'm using these words because I don't know what other words to use.
Okay.
And so if you would like to direct me in another way, I may,
Oh my
I
God,
will
shut
use the
up.
words that you would like for me to use. So,
Let me
You're not
ask you
supposed to
a-
say that.
In terms of, do you
Dear.
think collectively as the group that you all.
How
think
would you
has
like to
some
coach
operational
me?
values? Or not subscribed to by the masses, I'll say.
not subscribed to by the masses. Yes, I'll take that compliment.
Okay. And I'm not trying to be
It's
offensive,
not.
I'm just trying to get to the root of it.
I'll take the
And
compliment, like I said.
the purpose of my question is, I want to establish with you, and I will do it through questioning, the difference between an independent delusion that Kuwani might have been having versus belief systems that you all adopted, that maybe are a departure from the masses.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I find that to be rather irrelevant to the whole thing because, you know, we're talking about a woman, and so here's the thing. I'm gonna lay it down for you like this. When we went to Florida, me and Jennifer, we had like a, you know, a real curiosity about this, and we're like, you know, what kind of strangeness is this? Like, you know, I met Z. I think, like I said, I feel like I had met the wives like briefly at Peggy's house, but only for a minute, and I can't remember if that's how it was or not, or if I didn't actually meet them until Florida. But I feel like
I don't mean to be disrespectful or
Yes,
interrupt
ma'am.
you, but we have to have whatever your responses are be in response to my question.
Okay, very good.
So let me just ask a narrow question.
very good.
In terms of the belief systems or the things that you may have discussed amongst the group, was there any type of belief that the world is fake or things are not real around?
Not real.
Mhm.
Well, define real.
Okay.
Birds?
Do you recall having discussions or the group subscribing to some type of a belief that?
No, I asked you a question.
You don't ask the questions.
I made it as a statement. Define real.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Was there any belief system amongst your group that like there is an alternate reality or that what we're perceiving or living is not
So,
actually what we're perceiving or living?
so I'm going to answer that with facts.
Okay.
Okay, and we're going to go back to what I was talking about before.
Why is she letting
That,
him push her around?
It is fact that atoms, ATOMS, exist, and that atoms are in it mostly just empty space. Okay, and so they are colliding particles that form a visual and materialistic reality that we experience right now. Now, if we are to define what is real, I mean, then you are to define what is real by your senses, because these fundamental understandings of factual reality are understood by, you know, intellectuals all over the world. Now, whether the common ignorant masses can put them into practical application for
my
their own
God.
life and their own ability to strive to understand and comprehend themselves and see reality as it is. I mean, I live amongst the inept, but to describe something that is mostly empty space as real
Hey, Max.
is scientifically,
Hey, Max.
logically, and factually repugnant.
Okay.
So
Did- Sorry.
real would mean that we have our senses and we are connected to these bodies. And like many tens, hundreds of millions of individuals around the world, I hypothesize, and I would call it to be my belief that
She's deciding if she should
that we all
plead
have
guilty
souls,
to
that there is a
stop
soul,
having to hear
that
this.
there is an energetic manifestation that is participating in this reality in a body. So
Did-
there's something greater. There is something greater. To answer your question directly, there is something greater happening here than what the inept can perceive or choose to perceive.
Okay. And did Z and Kawani and Gami and Shaylid, did they all sort of share that view? Are those things that you all discussed?
Well, this intellectualism was shared by myself and Z for sure. Like we
Okay.
talked about this immediately.
Objection,
But like I say, I mean, this is-
speculation,
I
come
know,
on.
several.
Why are you letting this go on?
Individuals who are able to keep up with these like types of conversations.
Oh, this is good for
and
the defense
comprehensions
right
of
now.
Fact.
Is it?
Did you all
So-
believe
I think
that,
so.
that you had some type of broader consciousness, or I don't know if I'm using the right
I think that
terminology.
everyone has the potential to have a broader consciousness.
Okay.
That, did I know it
It's
to
a
be
valid
factual that I'm
argument.
pursuing that?
Insanity
and that the
by
average
proxy.
individual is not 100%.
Okay. And was that sort of the tone of the group in terms of like your,
Absolutely.
I guess, broader calling in the world?
I mean, you know, I'm not going to sit here and try to put words into the mouths of these other individuals. Now, we have some agreements.
That's what you're- yeah.
Now, we have some agreements into the matter
That's
of
what you
what
just
is
did.
factual, scientific understanding.
And to your point on that, like, what were the agreements? In what way were you like-minded with Kuwani, Shaylid, Z?
I mean, we're not talking about them, we're talking about Z.
David.
Okay,
You know, I don't
I
think-
want to talk about the collective group and.
I think that these are women, you know, they want to run and laugh and be silly on the beach. You know, me and Z are sitting here
Oh, these are
discussing,
women.
Okay.
Yes, doctorate level, you know, perceptions in quantum physics, yeah.
All
But
right.
these women don't have these conversations.
Okay.
They play with the baby, and they do what women do, and they be,
Okay.
you know, silly and, you know,
Okay. So you-
smile and laugh and do things like that. Like, what are you
Okay.
talking about?
So
Like,
you observed them more to be sort of carefree and fun and playing and
yeah,
laughing?
we're not having these conversations. I'm not
Okay.
having these conversations with these women.
Okay.
You know, like, I don't even know if they're capable of that.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, you know, like, which is not an insult, it's just a matter of fact.
Okay.
And so that's okay. That's not their role anyway. Their role is to be together and, you know,
this is great.
have like fulfillment in their life from their version of reality that they're experiencing, which is, for the most part, what I saw. I mean, until Kawani started to really have her break, you know, and become what I would call mentally ill,
Okay.
you know, and her suffering and mental illness had completely consumed her. Before that, it was really just like mostly just a lot of like hanging out and playing with the baby and, you know, laughing and being girls, you know.
All right.
Like-
Can we get the male
So tell me,
prosecutor up here?
When and we've talked about like the word insane, the word mentally ill, in terms of things that you saw from Kawani.
Sure.
And the reason I started by asking you about worldview
I love
is because I was trying to
sexists who don't
distinguish between
understand
things
that they're sexist.
Maybe she was being delusional or having an individual break from reality versus things that the group believed
Yeah,
collectively.
I mean, I get
So-
where you're coming from, and like I say again, I feel like that's like
Obviously.
I feel like that's like
a
irrelevant
woman.
because we're talking about a woman who had complete breaks in her in her like cerebral capacity
Oh my God.
to understand, to where she didn't remember what just happened.
Okay.
She did, and I don't think that has anything to do whether she's a Mormon or a Christian or a Scientologist.
And that's
or-
not my point, but
Yeah.
to your point earlier, the law does have definitions, and
Okay.
it does relate specifically to certain symptoms or things that
Well,
she
you don't say,
exhibited.
ma'am.
So
Sure.
what I want to know is, from your observations, was there anything that she exhibited that you saw to be a delusion?
Yeah, I mean, maybe,
Yeah.
you know, it's like.
Everything right now.
What you're asking me is whether the verbiage and the information that was coming out of a psychologically unwell individual was or was not delusion by my judgment or my standards.
Okay?
That's what you just asked.
Sure.
So I'm not sure that, you know, there is. Okay, so I want to make an example for you in direct response to your question. There are individuals who, and this is documented, there have been massive case studies on individuals with things like autism, or things like there are, you know, other psychological unwellnesses that we could call them, classify them as mental handicaps, as they would be labeled by society, who have these incredible abilities to give us information that is perhaps unperceivable by a mind. So what we're talking about is frequency and bandwidth. So with some of the things that I saw and heard Kawani say to be delusion, yes, but did I also in her like deranged mental state see, like, it's like, so what is delusion? Like, what, you know, like these questions, it's like, yeah, I mean, she was outside of her mind blabbering about complete nonsense sometimes.
Okay,
you
so
know?
tell
But
me,
when she would come back,
Let's be specific. What was the complete nonsense she was blabbering about?
gosh, I can't even remember specific things. I mean, but there's also like, okay, so so we have to really dissect the mind here to understand, because there was an event that happened on November 25th, which involved a woman who pulled off on the side of the road. Kawani was having an episode, I guess you could say. And this woman pulled off on the side of the road.
All right, let me stop you for a second.
I'm just-
What do you mean by episode? What did you observe? What
Oh
did
gosh.
she say?
Okay, so we'll begin there to come back around to what I was saying.
Okay.
Because it was only after that day that I heard Kawani mention at all the safety of the child.
Okay.
And that was on November 25th. And
Of
it was
2020?
and it was because of this woman who had this psychotic, drunk woman who was on drugs and who was threatening us with gun violence.
Let me
And
back up. On November 25th of 2020, where were you guys at?
We were at Peggy's house,
In what state?
North Carolina, Asheville, North Carolina.
Who's Peggy?
Peggy is, who is Peggy? Peggy Schindler is someone that I've known for like 20 years.
Friend?
Friend of mine. Yep,
Okay.
I used to work with Peggy's
In
daughter.
what universe
at,
is Peggy?
This sports bar called Hickory Tavern. And
We don't need to get into the weeds. I'm
Yep.
just trying to provide
Yep.
them some context of who Peggy is.
Peggy's a friend of mine for 20 years.
All right,
Yep.
so Peggy's got a house in North Carolina.
Yep,
You
she
all
does.
were spending time at Peggy's house.
That's right.
Who was there?
Me, Shaylik, Kawani,
She's my
Peggy,
bitch.
Z, and Nancy.
Okay. And how long did y'all spend at Peggy's house around
That day?
Just that day?
I mean, no, we were around Peggy's house a lot.
Okay.
You
And
know,
you
just-
specifically referenced November 25th. Why do you know that date?
because that was the day
When
that
is
this woman
Peggy?
pulled off on the side of the road, and I feel like I think that was like a real turning point for Kawani, which had massive effects on her psyche, which led to the death of Nimsy.
Okay, so tell me on November 25th, prior, you were talking about this woman, which we'll get into that in a minute. Prior to this woman being involved, what were you observing of Kawani on the 25th?
On that day?
Yes.
Okay, so it was actually a pretty normal day. Like, she was being like relatively calm and clear, and like you could tell, like I could always tell it in her eyes when she would like she'd be in a certain place, and then something would trigger her, and she would just lose it. Like, I mean, like her eyes would change, and she would come back, and she would not remember what happened. And
What do you mean she would lose it? What would she do?
gosh, all kinds of things. So this day, she was in it, and she'll start shaking and like, you know, attacking Z and attacking the other girls, and she's tried to attack me before, and never the baby. That needs to be clear. Never the baby, because I would have nipped that shit in the
Yes.
bud. I would have not tolerated that, you know. And and I don't think Z would have either. Like they, so we were at Peggy's, and she starts like, and then she just runs out the door, like for no reason, like no clear and definable reason whatsoever.
So I want to know, what did you see? You saw her shaking.
Or just being like, you know, it's like she's just being like she would get this look in her eye, like she like was absent, you know.
So she had an absent look in her eye and she was shaking. Did she say anything?
She'll like scream, and she's like, I have to go, I have to get out of here. And she like starts screaming, and we're like, Z's like, honey, calm down, you know, like he's trying to, was like constantly working so diligently with her and being so patient and kind, and working with her, because, you know, she would come back from these episodes and she'd start crying. She's like, I don't know what's happening, you know, and she'd just like completely like lose her mind. I don't know how else to describe it. This day she just took off running, and we're on Overlook Drive, which is a really dangerous road, because there's been people killed on that road before, literally, and pets, all kinds of, you know.
Oh,
it's like
okay,
a
he's talking about a
major
literal
accidents.
road.
People fly on that road, and it's known that people go really fast through there.
I thought
And
he
so
meant
Z
like a
was
dangerous road, like a
probably in little better shape
metaphorical
than Z,
road.
probably a little faster on my feet at the time. He asked me to go run her down and cut her off and try to get her to like come back, you know. Not that like we're trying to like, you know, we're just trying to make sure she doesn't hurt herself, you know. And
What made you think she was going to hurt herself?
because
Oh,
she's
hang
running
on,
in the middle
it
of
is
the
a
road.
metaphorical
Okay.
road.
Like, I mean, she's like running like a crazy person down the middle of the road for no specific reason that she made clear that she just had to go suddenly at that point.
Oh, is it a real
And she
road?
made no specific reason clear why she was doing that. She made no specific, like, she wasn't trying to go anywhere. She wasn't trying to, she had no real purpose, you know. She's just like, you know, an endangerment to
I can't
herself
work
and
it
to
out.
others. You know, like
It's
she's
an
running
actual
down the road
road.
just like
In traffic?
in traffic,
Okay.
belligerently. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, we probably should like try to get her back. And so I ran down and I cut her off, and she ran back towards Peggy's house in the middle of the road now. And I'm like trying to avoid cars, and like their cars are stopping, and like she's just like running. And she finally like tired out and sat, and then she was sitting on the side of the road, collapsed, crying. And Z asked me to pick her up and carry her back across the street to our house.
You said she was
So,
sitting?
She was sitting like on this, like almost like on the side of the road, pretty much. And the shoulder is like very narrow on that road, so we're in the road.
Okay.
You know, like towards the white line.
All right. And did she articulate anything at that time? Or
No,
just-
she wasn't articulating anything. She was just like crying and sobbing, like just
Okay.
like incomprehensible jargon of like blabbering about, you know, like non-tangible things. I don't even know. I wasn't even really listening to her. It was just kind
When
of
you say non-tangible, was I'm trying to get at, was she paranoid about something specific? Was
No.
she delusional about
I mean,
something
not that
specific?
day. Not that
Okay.
day. No,
All
she
right.
wasn't.
She was shaking.
She was just,
You said she had some kind of look in her eye?
yeah, the look, you know, the look that she would get when she would be like absent of herself.
Okay.
And like, you know, it's like, and then you ask her about it later, and like, she's like, I don't really even remember some of these things, you know? Like,
Okay.
she's like having a complete break in her like ability to perceive reality, basically.
Okay. And when you first saw her behave that way, it was when?
Look.
When I first saw her behave that way, it was in September. She was not like that in May.
September.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, Kawani has, you know, she's admitted to me a lot about her past.
Was
which
she
had led her
blabbering or
to
blathering?
Have like a really, some psychological unwellness anyway.
God.
Like, this is her words to me. Like, we have talked about this as a group, that she was raped by her brothers when she was like 9 years old. That
She's like, what?
She had an older brother drug dealer who sold cocaine, and she was doing cocaine regularly by the time she was 9 or 10 years old, forced to have sex with her older brother's friends when she was like 10, 11 years old. She talks about how her parents abused her how she went to her second grade teacher and told
Yeah,
her
she's
teacher that her parents
Kawani.
were locking her in the closet and abusing her.
These are discussions she had with you about her mental well-being?
Her past.
Okay.
Which I think.
Was that in relation to sort of her
Yeah, totally. I think
mental
it was
and emotional
I think
health?
it was the foundation of her breakdown. The foundation of her breakdown and the mental unwellness began in her childhood, not like.
Who is
when
he to
she
say
was,
this?
20 years old. Like these seeds were already sown by the people that cared for her, and she would. I remember her saying things like, "Yeah, my brother's penises were really small, so it wasn't that bad
9-year-old
being
would
raped."
go.
by them." Like things like that. She
Well-
would give details about these.
I told you.
Details about being locked in a closet by her parents.
Okay.
Details about using cocaine regularly. So I think that the psychological unwellness and the foundation
Oh, geez,
of
Kay,
mental
I know.
instability, she was already, these were demons that were planted in her a long time ago.
Let me ask you, when did you ever see anyone in the group or yourself be physically violent toward her?
No. And now I did carry her across
Did
the
I
street.
ever
That's the
see
only time ever
myself
touched
do
one.
it?
Was that one time carrying her across the street to get her out of the road so we don't get hit by a car.
Okay.
That was the only time. Now I saw Kawani be violent towards everybody in the group. I saw
Okay.
her be aggressive, but not when it would be like a total snap like this. And so, do you want to finish because I'd like to tell about another day.
Well, let's, I asked you when the first time is that you kind of saw her exhibiting any behaviors, and you said September of 2020.
Yes.
And then you had referenced specifically November 25th as being, in your mind, some pivotal date
It was
that
a hugely pivotal day.
changed things.
From my observation of her.
Okay.
Yes, and
So-
the things that she was saying, like that woman, there was a woman who pulled off on the side of the road to kind of make whatever was happening to her business. She was drunk, belligerent, she assaulted me and Peggy and Z. This was like a very disturbed woman. And she,
Is this when you're carrying?
This is so
Chloe?
bad.
no, I was carrying her across the road and a woman who lived in the apartment complex was pulling out at the time. And she was like, "Is everything okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, she's just having a panic attack. I'm gonna carry her back to the house to get her out of the road so no one gets hurt." And the woman who lived in the apartment complex where we were said, she said, "I see, and if you need any
Right?
help, if you need anything, just let me know." Okay? So that was the woman who lived there. Now,
He's
this
starting
woman
to
who
get
pulled
to
in off the side of the
the
road was
incident.
just some stranger, who
Okay.
she pulled off on the side of the road and Kawani ran over to her car and was like, "I need to call my mom. I need to call my mom." That's what she started saying. And that's just like a random thing. She hadn't talked about calling her mom at all. That's just something that came out of her, just like some random thought or memory or whatever it was that was like just random that day. After she decided that she needed to run in the middle of the street, we got her back out of the house and this random complete stranger pulled inside this apartment complex to make this her business, like I say, rudely and
Well, you're carrying a
belligerently.
woman who's
And Kawani
hysterical
started
in your
going to her and
arms.
saying, "I need to call my mom."
Okay.
And so
Had she asked to call her mom up until that point?
no.
Okay.
Like I said, this was just like something that just started coming out of her. It's like, she's just like all of a sudden she's just like, "I need to call my mom. I need to call my mom." She's like saying this, and me and C and Shaylee and Peggy are all standing around. Shaylee's holding the baby. We're all like, "Let her call her mom.
Okay. And
Let
did
her
she?
call her mom." No, she didn't, because this woman started being belligerent and jumping out of the car.
You know how
and
women
started
are.
to come back into herself. You could see it in her eyes that she realized that this woman was a danger to her. And the woman started screaming about how we're all going to jail and she's going to call the cops and get the baby taken from her and all of these things. These completely, just this belligerence,
So this was a passerby that
a
intervened when
passerby.
she saw you with Chloe,
That's
with
right.
Kuwani.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
And so what happened after that?
Gosh, a whole scene happened after that. She was started being verbally abusive to everyone.
Who's she? Who are you referring to?
This woman named Sandra Torres.
That's the woman that stopped?
That's the woman that stopped.
Okay.
Yeah. And she was like threatening us. She threatened. "I have a gun in my car right now. But, I'll shoot you and kill you."
God
And
damn
it was like-
Americans and
her
their
breath,
guns.
She was rank of alcohol.
Hey, Australia has
So
3D
she's just this
printers.
Random drunk lady who apparently had a gun and was. There's like this whole scene that unfolded, and I think that it's most. I think the most important thing to take away from that day and why I mentioned it is because after that day, after she was screaming at Kawani and Z that she's going to get the baby taken away, so she pulls over on the side of the road, and like her story is to be like this vigilante to help this woman who's being kidnapped and blah blah. She gets across the road. This woman who's sitting right there was screaming about how she wanted to call her mom. All of the other individuals said, "Let her call her mom." Simple. Let her call her mom. No one's objecting to this. The only reason why we just had this whole scene is because she's like endangering herself and other individuals. Let her call her mom. Sandra Torres makes this into like, we're all very calm, you know, at this point. Like, we're like, okay, we got her out of the road. That was like our goal. You know, we got her out of the road, and now we're just calm, waiting for Kamani to calm down. Whatever conversations, whatever care we need to show her to get her back into a calm place, we would do. And this woman is just like aggravating this situation, you know, with her own like, you know, drama. And she threatened to have the baby taken away and that she was going to kill us. And it was only after that day that there was anything in Kawani's delusional speak. You know, like I said, we have to define what you know, in her delusional speak, in her blabbering, when she would go outside of her mind, outside of herself, and her eyes would change, and she'd start to be erratic and sometimes violent. That was the first time ever after that day that she said anything in those states about the baby.
And what, after that incident, what was it that she said about the baby?
It started as, I need to protect the baby.
Okay.
Like, the baby's in danger, the baby's in danger, something's gonna happen to the baby. And she was also talking about that woman saying that she was gonna kill us.
Mad
Like
world.
that, like, it like got inside of her head somehow from this woman about the baby's in danger and all of this stuff, you know, like it was a really dramatic shift.
So as it relates to that dramatic shift that you just described and her feelings about Hannah
Yes.
and the baby,
That's why I mentioned it.
was it always she had to protect Hannah?
Those were the things that I heard her saying, that she needed to, the baby was in danger, and, you know, like, the baby, and then it started to develop after day, because this, you know, Nimsy died like less than 2 weeks after that,
Okay.
you know?
And so, did she ever articulate who she thought the baby was in danger
Baby is
from?
Mimsy.
Not really.
Okay,
No.
but in terms of the things she was saying,
Yeah.
it was a paranoia of her needing to protect Hannah.
Yeah, and then there was talk about how the baby's going to die. Like, I
Okay.
heard her say that. I never heard her say, I'm
What?
going to hurt the baby. I never heard her say, I'm going to kill the baby. I never heard her say anything like that. I did hear her say, the baby's going to die, I have to protect her.
Okay, and when
So-
she said the baby's going to die, it was in the context of her role to
To
make sure she
protect this
didn't.
child, yeah.
Okay.
Which it was still like coming out in this like really delusional, paranoid, schizophrenic, whatever you want to.
Okay, so the baby's called Mimsy, as far as he's concerned. It's called Mimsy. I don't know if that's the Hebrew name or if that's the given name. But she stabbed her and then herself, and he's saying that was 2 weeks later, right? And she's pleading insanity.
Yeah.
Hannah's the given name, right? Yeah, that rings a bell now. So cool. So Mimsy, that's who he's referring to. Just wanted to clarify that because he's using all different names. That's how the baby died. Right, cool. Let's keep going.
Label these things type of way, manic, like she was having real struggles, and it was coming out in this way. But before that day, there was never any like mention of the baby in her delusions. Like, it was about herself, like that, you know, evil was after her, and that I heard her talk about hurting herself a lot. I
Okay.
heard her talk about committing suicide. I
So-
watched her injure herself by punching herself in the face many times. And, you know, I've watched her be violent towards everyone else and never towards the baby. And there was never even mention of the baby until that day.
Okay, so you said prior to that day where Sandra Torres said the baby's gonna get taken away, then she started having delusions or paranoia about protecting Hannah.
She did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Prior to that, you just mentioned a second ago that she had delusions or paranoia, or whatever word you want to use, related to her.
Sure.
What were her manifestations related to her that you perceived to be some type of mental health related incident? What types of things would she say about herself?
That she was like, you know, in danger of evil, and like there was all this evil in the world, and but see, there you go. We're talking about like things that are coming out of her. So it's like she wouldn't remember saying these things. Like, she would have these episodes and not remember. But some of the things that she was saying are valid. There is a lot of evil in this world. There's a lot of evil in this room. So it's like,
Wow.
is that a delusion?
Really?
I don't think so. You know, it's like, is that delusional to say that? Is she in a delusional state when she's making these proclamations? Yes. Is she in a state where she has no memory of what she's doing and is like absent of herself? Because Kawani is a sweet and caring and loving mother. You know, like I saw
Clearly.
her in May, and that's, you know, when Jennifer and I went to Florida, that was the whole thing. Like, we saw this baby, and there was this bright, happy, joyous, cared for child. I've been around enough babies where I know you can tell when they're not in proper care from their mothers. And there was no sign of that whatsoever. Like, this baby was completely carefree and happy and joyous And Kawani was an excellent mother. She was attentive. She was warm and nurturing and loving. She would never strike her husband or the sister wives in the way that I saw her later.
Or the
She would
sister
never-
wives.
He called
them sister wives.
And that was in the child. Like, you could see that in the child. It's like, if I had an aunt who was a little on the loud side, you know, it's like even when her children were little, they were a little on the loud side. You know what I'm saying? Like, children imitate their parents. And so you see it in this child, and you're watching Kawani care for this child, and they're all like fine and wholesome. There's like a lot of wholeness in their group, wholesomeness, and the baby was just fine. Like, I wouldn't have continued a relationship with these people. The foundation, because I like Z. I did, and when I first met him, you know, he's a highly intellectual individual who likes to, and we
No,
share
he's a
lot of
man.
worldviews that are based on fact, and science, and understanding of, like, you know, teachings and things like that. So we hit it off.
I wonder if he
Um,
wore a
Let
mask.
me ask you, I don't want to get too far
During
from
the
what the
story.
original.
Sorry.
That's okay. Sometimes you get going and then we don't
I'm just
remember what the
trying
question
to
was.
give a full scope.
I get it.
Yeah.
So I want to narrow back in on, you said you had seen her punch herself or injure herself?
100%.
Had you ever seen anybody else restrain her or physically assault her?
Not like that.
Okay.
There was this one time where she tried to jump out of a window in the place where we were staying in
To get away from me.
Virginia Beach, but and Z like hugged her, like basically put his arms around her and stopped her. But I've seen Z sit there and take licks to the face and do nothing. You know,
Licks.
like I've seen these other girls be abused by Kawani in her delusion. Like I say, she never did that. And when she would come back, she would start crying, and we'd talk about what had happened and how she was attacking people, and she'd start crying, you know, and have like an emotional breakdown. Like she'd just be like, I'm so sorry, you know, and like she was just not that way. Like Kawani's not really like violent like that. Like, she doesn't hit. I mean, I had never seen her do that in a clear, and like, I only saw her do that when she was like losing her mind, as I say.
Okay.
You know, and this just continued to get more and more intense and severe as time went on.
All right. Now, you said, I want to go back a little bit to the incident on the 25th of November.
Yes.
So you said Sandra Torres intervened, that she said things about Hannah's going to be taken away, she's going to
Yep.
have the baby taken away, and that sort of set Chloe on this path where she believed that she had to protect Hannah.
Yes.
How did that incident end on the 25th?
The incident ended, so like I say, this woman that, you know, is sitting here, Sandra Torres pulls off on the side of the road to rescue this woman, you know, so she would say, and this woman who's sitting here willingly and knowingly gets into a car with her husband and her child and her sister to leave, to escape this belligerent, seemingly psychotic, definitely drunk, and threatening of gun violence individual. And Sandra Torres, like I say, Sandra Torres is trying to block Z from leaving. She's like, we're out of here.
So
Sandra
this-
Torres goes
hang
into
on.
Z's car. Now, this is a random person.
Yeah,
Like, keep in mind,
okay, all right.
this is
So
just
it's
some
random
woman
person, it's
that pulls
Sandra
off on the side of the
Torres.
road, decides to make this her business. Kawani's screaming about how she wants to call her mom. We're all standing around, let her call her mom. No one's trying to prevent her from doing this or do anything except run in the road and cause harm to herself. Please, here's the phone. Like, here's the phone. Call your mom, you know? She never did call her mom. She was just being belligerent, and so is Sandra Torres. And then Sandra Torres gets out of her car and goes over to Z's car and takes the keys out of his ignition. So keep in mind, this is a stranger who pulls off on the side of the road and then goes into a man's car who's being calm and cool and let my wife call her mom if that's what that's gonna make her feel better. Goes into the car, pulls the keys out of his car and says, you're not going anywhere. You're going to jail. We're taking this baby away from you. You guys are disgusting people, like all this stuff. To strangers. She's doing this. Z takes his keys back from her. Ma'am, this is my property. Give me my keys back. She starts slapping him and assaulting him. They get in the car and leave. Peggy stands, like after they had pulled like a 50-point turn to try to get past this woman. 'cause she's, like,
50-point
moving her car
turn?
to try to block them from leaving. She pulls over to rescue
50-point
somebody
turn.
and then tries to stop them from leaving in their own will and tries to like make a huge scene out of it to try to like hurt them in some kind of way. She pulls off and then she starts, and then Peggy is standing in front of the car and she basically, Sandra Torres started attacking Peggy, beating the crap out of her, slamming her head up against the hood of the car. And I sat there and watched that. And now Z and Kawani and Shayla had already pulled away at this point. So I'm just standing there watching Peggy get her ass kicked, pretty much. And I was like, I sat there and I watched for probably like a little bit too long, to be honest with you. That's how I felt about it because of the way she was getting beaten by this woman. This woman's like very tall and broad-shouldered Nordic woman, and Peggy's
Nordic?
this 5 foot nothing
Is she Odin?
petite woman who is not a fighter. This woman has a violent history, you know, and so she's, you know, assaulting Peggy and beating the crap out of her. And so I put my body in between Sandra Torres and Peggy, and then Sandra Torres punched me in the face once, and I went like this, and she punched me in the face again, and I picked her up and I put her down on the ground, and I got in my car and I left, and that was the end of that day.
What do you mean you put her down on the ground?
I picked her up and I forced her body to the ground.
Okay. How
Yeah.
would you describe a slam? A
I-
push?
I picked her up and I
Gently
dumped
laid her
onto
to the
ground.
cement.
Picked her up
Yes.
physically off of
I
the.
physically picked this drunken, belligerent woman who had just assaulted 3 people and was threatening us with gun violence up off the ground, slammed her down on the ground, got in my car, and I pulled off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were involved?
Yes, they were.
Okay. When you were there, were the police involved?
No, they weren't.
Okay. Did you call the police?
No, definitely not.
Why not?
Because
Fuck the police.
I rarely find that justice comes from these types of circumstances when police are involved. And I mean, I just like don't really like you guys.
You've told me that a number of times, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's okay. And that's not personal. I just find that like the legal cult
Sure.
and the legal
not personal,
culture,
you're just a
you know,
piece of
use that
shit.
word cult to describe culture. It's just a shortened version of that word.
Fair.
I find that the legal cult is it brings injustice more often
And-
than
I
not.
don't like
Were you all
guys.
collectively as a group sort of not call the police type of people?
Peggy was definitely not called a police type person. I
Look,
asked her,
that's
I
the
was
only
like,
sane
"Yeah, you should
thing
really
he
call the
said."
cops."
Fair.
Like she's got a black eye and she's all busted up and hair pulled out of her head by this woman. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, you should really call the cops. She's like, I'm not calling the cops. She's like, I don't want anything to do with them.
Alright.
We'll just let this go. We'll just be gone with her, you
So-
know, and like we'll just go about my life.
So you said you got in the car and left.
Right on,
and
man.
When did you become aware that the police
Can't blame 'em.
had been involved?
No.
That's a good question. I can't remember, like days later or something like that, or I can't remember honestly when I became aware.
Did you ever get interviewed or spoken to about those circumstances of what happened on the 25th?
No, I never did. Nobody ever asked me about this. This is the first time where I've been able to speak
Okay, that suit is
plainly before
horrible.
court or before anyone involved in
Ugh.
that openly about the events
Oh.
of that day.
Okay, so you
Ugh.
left. At some
Good
point,
lord.
you became aware that
Joe
someone
Biden
else
has
had
better
contacted
dress
police.
sense.
Now, when
Damn.
Nancy died on December the 8th, I gave an interview where I spoke about this
Ugh.
circumstance to a woman named Tiana Cruz, I think is her name.
With Canton Police Department?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I told her about what had happened and how, because, that
She
day
does
was kind
have
of like a
Nancy
breaking
Grace
point, and it
hair.
manifested into, I mean, looking at this from like an outside perspective as best I can, without, it's like I'm very emotionally attached.
She's a plethora of
to
sensible
Baby, to,
pantsuits.
What happened, but it's like that day, Kawani's delusions go from I'm in danger, these things, to the baby's in danger, to the baby's gonna die, they're gonna take to a dead baby.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what just happened.
Okay.
So I spoke that very clearly, as far as I can remember in my interview, because I was just so in shock that day. Like I couldn't even believe that this has happened. Like it was just like
All right, let me ask just directly. From that incident on the 25th, did you get charged with anything?
I did.
When did you learn that you were being charged with something?
I got charged with
I'm
assault
shocked.
on Sandra Torres.
And when did you learn that that was the case?
April of the following year.
April of 2021?
Yes.
Okay.
I had no idea.
Did you have any contact with law enforcement between November 25th when it happened and when you got arrested in April of 2021?
No, I did not.
Okay, so you just find out because you have a warrant for your arrest?
Yeah, I got pulled over.
You got pulled over and you
Yeah.
got arrested from a warrant from the incident on the 25th?
That's right, from
Okay.
6 months earlier.
Okay, and what happened with that case?
Well, I wanted to go to trial because I thought that I could win in the name of self-defense, and protection of Peggy.
I had Andrew
She was gonna
Bronca on my
testify
side.
trial That she was being attacked belligerently. Z and
I'm a
Shaylee
platinum
both
member.
testified that this woman was threatening them and being crazy, and she reeked of alcohol, and she's a known drug user because I know her.
Mr.
I-
Spillers, I'm not trying to be
Oh.
disrespectful, but we just gotta rein it in. So
Oh.
what happened with your
Oh, I got a misdemeanor.
Okay.
I ended up with a misdemeanor.
Did you plead guilty?
I did plead guilty pursuant to Alfred.
Lady, you
What
should have
was
done that ages ago.
Alfred law, I was told, means that I maintain my innocence, but I was being held in jail. Like they held me, they were holding me in jail, and I couldn't afford my bond, and so I waited for years for a trial for that, and they never gave me a trial, and so I finally pled guilty to a misdemeanor, and I think that they just gave me a misdemeanor because they knew that they would lose in trial, and they didn't want to afford that opportunity.
So you did a time served
Time
misdemeanor?
served, they sentenced me to 75 after 22 months of incarceration.
You were
They
in
said-
jail for 22 months?
I was in jail for 10 months, and then I made bond, and then they re-incarcerated me after 8 months. They held me in house arrest for 8 months.
Okay,
All
so
over
that's
this.
house arrest.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow.
And then you pled guilty under Alford
Yes,
Which
to
is
be
just-
released from jail.
To a misdemeanor.
He did an
Yes, ma'am.
Alfred plea.
All right.
Huh.
You mentioned that after that incident, Chloe started having
Office.
paranoia surrounding needing to protect Hannah. Did you ever witness, perceive, or hear her say anything about ever believing Hannah was a danger to her?
Absolutely not.
Did you ever hear her articulate that she felt threatened by Hannah in any way?
No.
Did you ever hear her say that she needed to defend herself against Hannah?
No.
Okay. Was all of the things that you heard with relation to Hannah, her needing to protect Hannah?
Yes.
Okay. You talked about the sort of response of Shaylig and Gami and Z and you whenever Chloe would have, whatever you want to call them, episodes.
Sure.
What was the response amongst the group in terms of helping her?
Well, I think mostly it was like trying to find patience, you know, and trying to find a way to keep her calm, get her to. If
Here's
someone's,
hiccup.
like, stop hurting herself.
No.
Those are the times
Just go
where I've
back
seen
10
Steve,
seconds.
like, hold her arms, you know, because she's punching herself in the face, you know,
Yeah.
or she's striking
15.
somebody else, and I'm trying to find patience.
Call them episodes.
Sure.
Okay.
What was the response amongst the group in terms of helping her?
Well, I think mostly it was like trying to find patience, you know, and trying to find a way to keep her calm and get her to, if someone's like, stop hurting herself.
That can't be the only
Those are
one.
the
You
times
don't
where
have
I've
one
seen
hiccup.
Steve, like,
I know,
hold
I
her
think it
arms,
was. I
you know,
was
she's
really
punching herself
hoping
in
he
the
kept
face,
going.
You know, or she's striking somebody else.
Who has one
I have
hiccup?
seen him like hold her hands, be like, honey, calm down, calm down, calm down, you know? And that was pretty much it, you know, like, I never, you know, we would all respond. in our
Maybe
own
he is
way.
magical.
I tried to just be as diligent and patient and kind as I could, you
Okay.
know, and try to talk her, because like I said, she would be, you know, she would come,
Urine
withdrawal.
withdrawal.
you know, she'd come plainly and openly.
He
you
didn't
know,
get his morning urine.
sexual assault by
His
her
morning
family
cup of
members,
urine.
You know, all of these things that had led her to be this like fractured person, individual rather. And I would, you know, just be there to listen. That's what I was getting at. Like I would just be there to listen to her about how she was feeling and if there was anything that I could do and try to avoid, you know, that right hook. You know, if she was trying to, you know, take us
Right
home.
hook.
But she only did that to me a couple times.
Let me ask you this. You mentioned that incident on the 25th where she ran out in the road.
Yeah.
After that happened, between then and December the 8th, did she go spend time with her parents at her family's house?
No, she didn't. Not
Was
that I
there,
recall.
was there ever a period of time where
Oh,
she?
whoa. You mean after Thanksgiving?
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry. I thought you meant from October.
No. The incident on
Yes.
November 25th.
Yes.
And she said, I want to call my mom.
Yes, she did.
Okay.
She did say that.
Did she ever go see her mom and stay with her mom?
Yeah, actually,
after that
they
incident?
came later that day, Eric and Renee. That was like the second or third time that I had met them.
Okay.
They came to pick Kawani up.
On what day? The 25th?
It was either that or the next day.
The 25th or the 26th?
Yeah, right around in there. I can't, you know, it's 4 years.
Okay.
So I mean, you're at like.
You're
the
doing
best I
fine.
can.
So
You're doing
either on the
fine.
25th or the 26th, Eric and Renee Driver.
He's really
came
not, ma'am.
and Picked up Kawani.
Yeah,
Okay. Where did they come to?
they came to Peggy's.
To Peggy's house? Okay. And that was in North Carolina?
Yes.
All right. And where were they living at that time? The drivers?
Oh gosh, Tennessee.
Tennessee. So they
Yeah,
went from
Knoxville,
Tennessee.
as far as I know.
They went from Tennessee to North Carolina and they picked up Chloe.
That's right.
All right. Did Hannah stay with you guys?
She stayed with Zeke.
She stayed with Z. Okay. And to your knowledge, did Chloe go back to her parents' house?
Yeah, she did for like a few days.
Okay. And when and how did she rejoin the group after she went to her parents for a couple of days on the 25th or 26th?
I'm pretty, you know, she kept in contact with her husband, and then I think he went to go pick her up after
I
that.
thought he had a photogenic
And
memory.
Were they still communicating, Z and she were still communicating?
Totally,
Okay.
yeah.
I don't know if he
and
will, but I'm
so
really,
he went to
really
go pick her up.
hoping
Do you know when
so.
that was?
Z's testimony
Um,
should be amazing.
Shortly after that, a
I'm
few
sure it
days,
will be.
You know,
He
something
has
like
to.
that.
Okay. A few days after
A
Thanksgiving?
few days after Thanksgiving, yeah.
Okay.
I think she got really jarred by that whole thing.
You know what it's like in jail. They get you out of
Okay.
bed at 3 a.m.
That's
There's,
fair.
like, a lot
That
of
is fair. I
dramatic
won't
shit
judge
to
him
her
for that.
about wording and the things that she would
I'll
say.
judge him for everything else, but not that.
Yeah, everything else. I mean, the urine drinking's
Like, that
Yeah.
was it.
All right.
probably
And then,
judgment worthy.
Tell me about Thanksgiving. Where did you spend Thanksgiving? in
Millions
2020?
do it.
Yeah.
Oh, I was there. We did
I also
picnics, and
call
then I
him
was at my
Zed.
parents for the rest of the day.
Was Chloe around for Thanksgiving 2020, or was she with her parents?
That was that day. That was Thanksgiving Day.
What was Thanksgiving Day?
The whole event on November 25th.
The 25th was Thanksgiving Day?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. I'm not 100% on that, but I'm pretty sure that was Thanksgiving Day. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it would have been after Thanksgiving.
Hey,
Chloe
Evie.
went to her parents.
That's correct.
All right.
Yes.
And then you said it was a couple of days maybe she was with her parents, and then
Hey.
Z went and got her, and she came back to the group?
She came back. Yeah, she did.
Okay. And when she came back, what was her demeanor like?
Pretty much the same, really. You know, I mean, she's a regular Kawani a lot of the time, even though at this point in time she had become kind of degraded. Like she was like, her whole like air had become different. Like she was like really like frustrated with herself. Like she was just like frustrated with what's happening, and she was sad. You could tell. And then there was like this whole different air about her that I think, like I said, was part of the whole interaction with Sandra Torres. You know, where she just became, I don't know, she just got this idea in her head about Nancy after that. There was just like a lot of
About protecting Nancy?
protecting Nancy, yeah.
Okay.
And like the danger to the baby, that they're gonna take the baby. All of these things that had never really come out of her before that I heard, you know?
Okay.
And I mean, I wasn't with them like 24/7, but I was with them a lot, you know, like a
All right.
lot. So-
Okay. You said that she first sort of started having those types of, I don't know what to call them, episodes, paranoia, whatever it is, in September of 2020?
Well, no, it was before that, actually. It was really during the summer. Like Z, you know, I was talking to Z.
Did she like
pretty
secretly take
regularly.
the vaccine?
We would just, you know, talk about all kinds of stuff.
Maybe that's it.
And he spoke of his life openly, you know, with me, and how Kawani had really started.
He's
it
been
was
looking
really
forward to
July,
telling his
and
urinalysis
he
story for so
began-
long.
Because I think it was
He
in
has.
June that I met them at the river that day.
He spread the
With her
word.
parents?
With her parents.
Yes.
And she was
The gospel of
fine that
urine.
day. Like she was, you know, behaving normally, providing excellent care for Nancy, being an excellent mother, and
Clearly.
yeah, I mean, gosh, you know, I just
And let me ask you this, at any point did you become aware of her getting any type of like counseling?
no,
Okay.
definitely not.
What's that?
No.
Okay.
She did not.
Did you know about her doing anything on Zoom?
No.
Okay.
I did not know about that.
Okay.
She had a tubing moment.
And,
Was she
did,
doing that? I don't know.
if you don't, I have to ask the question,
Okay,
so
that's
if you don't
fine.
know,
Yeah,
that's
I don't
completely
know.
fine.
I didn't know that. No.
Okay.
I didn't know.
And we already talked about kind of the group's views on drugs and sort of the holistic approach.
Yeah, Z did not want her to be institutionalized. That's for sure.
He did not want her to
He
be
did not want her to be
institutionalized?
institutionalized, probably for the same reason as like the institutionalization culture probably doesn't offer like, you know, she's just surrounded by 3 or 4 people who really love her and care about her. And instead of just being a patient.
How can
that
he
gets
speak to what
doped
someone
up
else
with
thinks?
medication and spoken to once a day
No
for an hour
objection.
by some doctor that she doesn't know.
That's so stupid.
Z was really trying to do this in more of like a wholesome family way to offer Kawani healing.
When she was just her normal self,
Yeah.
what was her relationship with like with Z? How did she interact with him? How did she treat him? What did you
I
observe
mean,
during
like
this
I said,
time?
it was like what we went to, when Jennifer and I went to Florida, it's like, there's like a lot of love there.
Talk to me about
Aw.
like Thanksgiving time, December. What was the nature of their relationship around that time?
These
I mean-
cute kids.
Sometimes she's around and it's the same, like there's a very loving nature and a very like, you know, a very, there's like a lot of companionship and between her and the other girls, like, you know, I remember we were at my house, right before, because they found a house in Florida. Because that's one of the things that Kawani was talking about, especially towards the end in October. She's like, we need to find a house. We need to find a house so I can be better, so I can find a place to be and just be in one place all the time, so I can be in this place and I can heal and I can get better.
Did she want a more stable lifestyle than traveling all
Not
over the place?
before, but no, I think she was just fine with it until like she started to really like degrade,
Okay.
you know, and then she realized, you know, she would come back from these episodes and we'd tell her what's happening, what had happened. She has like no memory of it. She's crying and being all like apologetic and, you know, like troubled by her own mind and like how little control she had.
She believed finding a house and
She-
putting down some roots somewhere would be beneficial for her?
Yeah, and that really started to come out in October. Like after we came back from Virginia Beach, I was letting him stay at my house, and she started to talk about that, even incoherently. She's like, "We need to find a place." And so they had found a house in Florida
Okay.
that was for sale,
All right.
and they were going to go buy it.
Lucky
and
Florida.
live there.
All right.
And Z had already like called about it, and it was in Florida, and we were moving there that day on December the 8th.
On December the 8th, y'all were headed from North Carolina to Florida to move
Florida.
into a house.
To move. We were moving them. I rented a U-Haul in my name for them. And I
In
was-
your
they had
name?
all of their stuff packed up in the U-Haul. They were moving to Florida, and we stopped by Jerry's house on the way down.
Who's
All right,
Jerry?
So
Oh,
on December
God.
the 8th, how many days, if we start on December the 8th and we track backwards, how many days had you been with them? Had you been with them continuously from November 25th?
No, continuously since October, since the middle of October when I went to go visit them.
Okay, so you spent every day with them.
Almost every day, yeah,
Okay.
pretty much, yeah. They were staying at my house, like I say. I went to Virginia Beach in October,
Mm-hmm.
and in the middle of, I think I arrived there on like October 11th. or something like that. I stayed there until
Right,
after
Mavka?
Halloween, so it's like the better part of a month, because I remember celebrating Halloween or walking around for Halloween down in Virginia Beach. And then we came back to Asheville, and they were staying at my house. So, I come by like all the time, yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes I'd stay in the van, and I'd come in, I'd walk in.
I'd
and talk
stay
about
in the
feelings and
van.
forth, and which I thought was great.
Okay.
And it was like a real
Do you live down by the river?
family style life there.
All right. And as it relates to sort of the efforts to assist Chloe, did she also believe against like drugs and alcohol or things like that?
Totally. I mean, she grew up, like I say, she grew up being, using drugs by her own accord, by her own account.
Okay.
From the time when she was like 9, 10 years old, using cocaine every day. And like, she was very against drugs.
This
Did
is
you have
awkward.
any knowledge during this period of time about her desire to try to utilize CBD?
Yes.
And what did you know about that?
So I found that out
We must
because she was
be.
looking for like some kind of medical assistance.
We
And
must
Z was
be.
just not having her be on prescription medication.
Okay.
Because, and I agree with him in this
Yeah.
regard that, that because she would come back from these episodes, it's not like she was like this all the time. And this was a recently developing thing.
So when you say it's not like she was like this all the time, what in terms
She
of
wasn't psychotic, losing her mind,
well, in
belligerent.
terms of quantifying how many episodes like that you saw or how often that would happen?
Right, yeah, I wasn't around them all the time at that point, but I know
I
that it
need
really started
weed.
to get bad in July.
Okay.
So by the time September came around, I saw her behaving erratically. She struck Z for one of the first times she had ever struck her husband when I was there in September. But Z's perspective was like a more like natural homeopathic type thing where he didn't want to institutionalize her, and he didn't want her to be on drugs. He wanted her to work through this and come to a healing on her own. And she was about that too, but she was also looking for, so they decided on CBD. They
Okay.
decided to try to use CBD, and Kawani had ordered some CBD offline.
She ordered it offline?
Yeah, she did.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you said that they were both kind of about not medicating traditionally, but that they had explored other options and arrived at CBD.
And arrived at CBD, that's right, to
Okay.
try to just give her some assistance.
Okay. And the CBD that she ordered offline, do you know anything about that?
I don't.
Okay.
I know she just ordered some CBD. She had been taking CBD, and a package arrived.
From just like a traditional CBD?
Yeah, just something online that she
Okay.
ordered.
All right.
Yep.
And at any time did
So that was okay.
you provide her with anything in that regard?
I did.
So you
I
trusted
had
that.
some CBD that I bought from a woman in Asheville, North Carolina.
A woman.
That I had purchased because my dad's cousin had cancer. He was using a Rife machine, and he had become cancer-free by using the Rife machine, and he was interested in taking some CBD.
Oh, he
And
became
so I
cancer-free
bought
from the
some
Rife
CBD from a
machine.
woman. I could tell you who it was if you want.
Was it a like, legitimate CBD manufacturer? Was it
Yeah.
some shady,
No.
back
this is-
alley? What was it?
No, definitely not. This is a woman who worked in the hemp industry.
Mm-hmm.
This is a product that was being sold on store shelves that she had in abundance. And so I bought some
What
of it from her.
store?
This is like a legal product that I bought from her.
Okay.
CBDRS?
In which state?
What's that?
What state?
In North Carolina.
In North Carolina, okay.
Yes.
So it was a off-the-shelf, legally manufactured hemp
That's what
oil.
I was told by this
Oh,
woman
that's
who
what you were
worked in the hemp
told.
industry.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
And so you said you bought that for your
I
uncle?
bought that from my dad's cousin.
Your dad's cousin?
It would
Okay.
be my cousin too. It's his first cousin, my
All
dad's
right.
first cousin.
And so you had some left over, or what was the situation?
No, I had some. I was taking some of it.
Okay, you took it.
Yeah, I did.
And what did you take it for?
I was taking it because I have
Yep.
shoulder injuries from jujitsu.
Okay.
And I was trying to, and I had quit smoking weed at that point, and I had been without, I have been clean and sober off drugs for a while.
Oh, well, hang on. He used to do
and
drugs?
and
Yeah.
that was something that happened
Who
before.
would've
I met you. Like, I
guessed?
quit smoking cigarettes and doing all kinds of things, but before I even met these people, like I said, I was another attraction, that we had like a
He
common
cares
outlet
about his girlish
that we
figure.
were both sober.
So the CBD that you purchased from the woman in the hemp industry that you subsequently gave to Kuwani was
Yeah.
CBD you had also personally used?
I had.
Okay.
Yeah, and I used it because I had I have a shoulder injury and a neck injury from jujitsu.
We
and I was
don't
trying to
care.
alleviate some of my pain.
Well, I hope
Take
his
CBD
shoulder's
for?
Yes, I
okay.
had.
And anything special about this particular
Poor
CBD?
boo-boo.
No,
Okay.
I mean, it's fairly like non-invasive. It's CBD, you
Okay.
know.
And what is it about CBD
Non-invasive
that, sort
CBD?
of comports with your views or beliefs about?
Well,
What
was
is he
just
used to
trying something,
rectal?
You know, I was just trying to take it and just see if it offered me any relief. Because I had been, I had
I
become,
wanna stab
really
this dude.
opposed to cannabis marijuana at that point.
want to stab
in my
him
life.
so bad.
Even though cannabis marijuana had been a part of my life.
Oh
for a
my
while, I had
God.
stopped using it and I completely turned
My
against it.
God.
Which I think is.
How the hell did Charles Manson ever
I
get
think it needs to be,
followers?
You know, I think there need to be stricter laws on marijuana and it needs to go backwards on this whole legalization.
Does
What?
he have
Like
like
for the jury that may not know, what's the difference between CBD and marijuana?
Okay,
Oh,
so the
fuck's
cannabis
sake.
plant has, from my understanding of it, the cannabis plant has over 85.
Oh my
around
God, I wanna
85
stab
cannabinoids
myself right
in
now,
it.
which
And cannabis hemp
is what
different
Chloe
from
did,
cannabis
so-
marijuana, and that it's
Just-
harvested for the because it's. a
Oh
blend
my-
of
Shut up.
Can we
marijuana
sentence
is
him
like
to
a
be with
hallucinogenic drug,
Sarah
which
Boone
is,
in a cell?
Heavy in THC. So this CBD that I gave to Z and Kawani, which I wouldn't have even suggested that, but they had already ordered CBD. You know, like they were already exploring this, and I was like, hey, I have this here. Would you like some of it? You know, and they talked about it, and they decided, yes, we will try this that you have. And so it was made from hemp, not marijuana. And it's a
Hey, now he's
like I say,
qualified
it's
as a
product
goddamn
that, you know,
expert.
that you can buy on the shelf. I bought it from a woman who works in the legal hemp industry in North Carolina.
Okay.
Shut up!
This is a good time for a lunch recess. So we're
Yeah.
Yes!
Yes.
An hour ago,
till 1 o'clock.
5 minutes into this nut job was a good time.
Talk to one another about decays or let anybody talk to you.
He's no ordinary expert. He's downright omniscient.
That you order in the jury room. You can, take a break, go outside, walk around if you want to.
That-
But be back in the jury room.
Don't
The
smoke any weed.
prosecutor-
Thank
The
you.
prosecutor looks like she comes straight out of the 80s. Look at her.
I know.
Check her out.
Looks like she's in the final season of Stranger Things.
Okay. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's go,
Oh,
let's
there's
go,
not
let's
enough
go. Oh
lunch
my
to get to
God.
this. And Cross starts very soon.
Good. Good. Murder him on cross.
Okay. And this is truly.
Okay, let's just go back. Oh,
All right, Mr. Spillers, I want to ask you, we were talking about the
Mr.
CBD,
Spillers.
Okay.
and I want to go back to that.
No, don't go back.
No!
86 and 87. Do you recognize what's in this photo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I gave to them.
Okay. And is this truly and accurately reflected in the manner you gave it to Chloe
Yeah, it's
Driver?
in a very, very small glass jar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your Honor, I'm going to tender states 87.
Any objection? It's admitted.
All right. All right. And is this the CBD that we're referencing?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And was this the same sample CBD that you had
Ew.
given to your
My dad's cousin.
dad's cousin
Yeah.
and that you had used yourself?
Yeah, it
Okay.
is.
And then you just
God,
gave the
your whole
remainder to-
family is
I just
just
had some with me that I was
hippie
taking
trash.
for my shoulder issues, for my shoulder pain, and
Alright.
that's the jar that I had that I was just using personally. I had purchased this a year before,
Okay.
and
One
I still had some
whole
left over,
year.
and that's I just gave the rest of what I had to them
Alright.
after they considered it. Like I offered it, and they considered it, and like the next day they were like, "Yeah, we'll try it," because it was free.
Okay.
Instead of
'Cause it was
spending money,
free?
I gave it to them.
So she has ordered CBD offline,
Right.
and then you offered this, and
Well-
they talked about it and accepted it.
Yes,
What's a free sample?
In terms of administration of this, do you just eat it? How does that work?
orally. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
orally,
just
rectally,
eat it.
you
And,
know.
Mixed with
Were
urine.
you a part of
Urethra
the
re-
discussions surrounding the CBD or the use of CBD?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I found out that they had come to these, that they had come to like an agreement, about.
And by an
using
agreement,
CBD
the man
to try
told her what
help
to do.
Kawani to find some, without using pharmaceuticals. It seemed like a much softer and more organic approach to some kind of chemical alleviation for her lapses in what we will call sanity, if you will.
Was
Not
she interested
using
in that approach?
Yes, she was.
Do you
pharmaceuticals
have any
clearly
knowledge
was
about
the
her
right
being
choice here.
Involuntarily forced to take CBD?
Definitely not.
Okay.
I mean, it was her who ordered it. I mean, she had to convince Z to let her do that.
She had to convince Z to let her take
Yeah,
CBD.
because it's like, he was trying to do this organically and like have her heal on her own.
Okay.
Because there was like I say, she kept coming back into
Pretty sure CBD is
A
organic.
place of mental clarity where she would apologize and not remember what she did, but he found it significant that she was, because she wasn't like, it's not like she was like she wasn't like clinical, it's not like she was like that all the time. This was just like something that had developed. And then I say, because of her past and postpartum and, who knows what else was contributing, to like these eruptions. And he was trying to heal her organically. So yeah, she
Postpartum.
had convinced him to allow her to use CBD, and he agreed,
Okay,
you know, as an alternative, as a more organic and softer alternative to pharmaceuticals.
okay. And you just used the expression, she wasn't like that all the time.
I mean, where she was like losing, I was just trying to make a clear and distinct difference between the woman who was a loving mother and the woman who would violently attack her husband
Okay.
and the other women.
When she was her normal self, that was
Yeah.
with Z for years.
Yes.
Have you ever described her as being a Spitfire?
Totally.
Okay.
Yes.
Which is-
Spitfire.
Totally.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
Did he say-
and you just
did he
said
say
earlier
Spitfire?
that, you know, she
Yeah.
asked you if you were an asshole who liked to eat animals. Was that?
Yeah, I mean,
demonstrative
she's
of
kind of
her
snipey
personality?
sometimes, you know, but that's not
Aw.
like, she wasn't like aggressive or violent. She was just kind of like stern, I guess you could say, and like curt and to the point.
Okay.
You
Was
know.
she? Did she speak her mind?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. And amongst the three wives,
I didn't like that from
Who
women.
was the clear leader of the three?
Kawani, I feel like, but they were all like, you know, I feel like Kawani was like the more like the more of the leader, I guess you could say. But those other girls, they were very vocal. Like, I mean, there was like all this interaction between them. It's not like Kawani was like commanding authority or, you know, like, or that she was like in charge of the other women. Let's not put it like that. You know, like it's not like she was like the boss over them or anything. But it was very clear that she was like the more like headstrong and you know, like more iron-willed of the three, I guess you could say.
Did she like things her way?
I mean, doesn't everyone?
Well, I mean,
You
she
know,
wasn't
it's
like Burger King,
No, I
but-
wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that Kawani was like that. Like, she's like, has to have it her way kind of girl.
Was she afraid to speak her mind?
Definitely not.
Okay.
I mean, that's like very much the opposite.
You
of
think?
that.
Beautiful.
I want to talk to you about the traveling from North Carolina to Florida.
Sure.
And you indicated that there was an intention to,
We were moving, you're talking about December the 8th.
yes.
Well,
But I
yeah.
want to talk about where you stopped en route.
Totally.
Do you have any
Totally.
knowledge about going to Chloe Driver's parents' house?
We did go to Kawani's parents on
Okay.
it was the night before that.
December the 7th?
I'm pretty sure it was the 7th, or maybe it was the 6th. Like I say, these, you know, you're talking about like the differential between a day that I'm trying to remember. Was it the 6th or the 7th of 2024 years ago? I
sake.
can't remember.
Okay.
But it was not the 8th because that's the day that we were traveling and Nipsey died.
And in terms of who was traveling and how many vehicles you had, what did that look like?
It was my van, and it was the U-Haul, and it was their SUV, I think. My head is itching. I can't remember if it was their SUV or their car.
Probably, I don't know.
But I was driving the U-Haul, and one of the girls, I think Shayla, was driving my van, and then Z was riding with Kawani and Nipsey in the SUV. I'm pretty sure. I can't remember that.
And what about Gami?
I think she was with one of the others.
Okay,
Like these are details that escape me,
okay.
you know?
But there were multiple vehicles?
Yeah, we were in, it was, I know that my van was there.
Okay,
And I was driving the U-Haul.
okay.
So, and then there was at least one more car. Maybe they had both cars. I can't remember this.
Okay, so 3 or 4 vehicles?
3 or
total?
4 vehicles, yes.
Okay. And you know that Z and Kawani and Nipsey were all in one car?
Yes, they were.
Okay, and you drove the U-Haul by yourself?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did all of those vehicles go to Eric and Renee Driver's house on the way?
Yeah, they did, actually. We parked in the, they live in like a condo duplex type townhouse thing, and we drove the U-Haul up the hill to their house to load up all the Kawani stuff, and we left all the other cars in the visitor parking by the pool at the entrance.
Okay.
And Shayla took a nap in my
Yeah,
van
Alright.
while they were there.
And what was the purpose for stopping at Eric and Renee
Rachel,
Driver's house?
we're just having
To
a
get the
look
rest of
through to
Kawani's,
see if we can skip
stuff
some.
So they could move to Florida because they had found a place to live.
Dolly's
and be
having a look in the
stationary
background.
and Establish some
Yeah.
kind of grounding, she initiated this sequence, and we all supported
Cross
that and tried
is
to help her
very
find a place
close.
to heal, where
Yeah,
she
but
could
does he
really,
say
like,
anything
be
more
still
important
and,
on-
you know, not have to deal with like all the stressors from the outside world? The Sandra
direct.
Torres thing was obviously hugely traumatic to everyone, and so she wanted to find a place to live, and they found a place in Florida.
Did,
Like, when
what
does it
stuff
get
were
to
you
the
all
actual
retrieving from her
incident?
parents' house?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I just pulled the U-Haul up, and
Okay.
they loaded it up. I didn't even like,
Okay.
I have no idea. I would say like personal belongings, probably, like things that she needed.
And do you know if her
Clothes.
parents were there and they
They were
interacted with
there.
her?
They were there, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the
Um,
first time that was another time when I met Eric Driver. He came outside and I saw Kyle Driver.
Who's
her brother.
Kyle?
Kyle's brother.
Her brother, okay.
Yep.
All right, and anything eventful happened while you were at the driver's house?
Nope, it's pretty smooth. We just
How was
rolled up.
Kawani acting?
She was actually, you know, by this point she had become like her, even in her normal self, she was kind of like, you know, she's like really dealing with a lot of like mental health issues, you know, and it was really starting to like drive her down.
You described her earlier as like looking sad? Is that-
Sad. Yeah,
Okay.
just like, you know, like really needing to get like that, like needing some kind of like something, you know, like the stable place in Florida where they could go, and you know, and she was really looking forward to that, and everybody was, you know,
Okay.
like that was.
Do you know who made the decision to go to the driver's house to get Kuwani's things? Was that something that she
Gosh, I don't
requested?
know.
You don't know? Okay, that's fine. How long were you all at the driver's residence?
Probably like an hour and a half or so.
Okay,
You know,
alright.
we just stopped in, picked up stuff. She had just been there after Thanksgiving, and then had come back to Z and her family, and with her sisters and her baby, and they had like, you know, things had like mended, and they were going to Florida, and Eric and Renee opened their house up, and Z was there talking to Eric. Like it was just like, you know, this is all after that. You know, this was December the 6th, right before Nimsy died.
Okay, so December the 6th, in interactions between Z and Kuwani and her parents and her brothers there, did you observe anything that was abnormal,
Not at all.
tension, conflict, anything like that?
Actually, not at all. Like
Okay.
it was just smooth.
All right.
Like Eric and Renee were, you know, they were there. They're like, you know, they opened their home. Z was talking to Eric.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he went inside, gathered their stuff with Kawani, and loaded it into the U-Haul.
At that time, was Kuwani excited about going to Florida?
They were all very like eager to get to Florida. or,
we're
like,
just
you know, like,
checking-
yeah, excited, I guess. You know,
Okay.
as
Beautiful.
excited as the person who's.
Dali's
that
having a
has-
look to
who's,
see
like,
how
said
much he
like that
blasts
to be, I
on.
guess.
Okay.
But yeah, they were. They were.
Alright.
They were all like ready to get to Florida and be stable, and they wanted to have a garden. She was talking about having a garden and growing food, and doing, you know, some self-healing meditations and being stable and being away from stressors of the world, like, you know, just, you know, they had found a spot in the country, you know, that was kind of like away, you know, to where, you know, she wouldn't have as many triggers to go
For
into.
two
So those were the
days.
things that she expressed she wanted?
Yeah,
A
totally.
garden and land and to
That's
be out
it.
in the country?
That's it.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't
Um,
want to just skip forward and
Was Nimsy
accidentally miss
with
it.
Are you sure it's
her and Z
350?
in the group whenever they were there
hang
with
on.
Yeah.
Eric and Renee Driver?
Yes, she was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, hang on,
and
negative
then you said
350.
that was either the 6th or
Split
the
it.
7th?
The 6th or the 7th, yes.
Okay.
Just tell
Sorry
her.
about that. Hang on, I'm just going to send Dali the link to where we're at so that he can find.
No, it's different on my phone. That's why. Sorry.
No, that's okay. It's okay. Right, so I'll send you exactly where we're at. Okay, let's keep going.
And then I want to talk about the 8th. You all
Yeah.
went to Jerry's. Did you know Jerry already?
Yeah, I know Jerry.
Okay.
I'd been to Jerry's house a couple times before. I'd spoken to him on the phone. It's kind of like one of those situations with Z. Like I met Jerry. Jerry's a really interesting guy. He's intelligent, and he does like a podcast talk show. that's,
Oh,
like,
he knows
you know,
someone
it's
who
like
does a
an interesting thing that
podcast.
he does.
How
So
surprising
I'd
is
spoken
that?
to Jerry for hours on the phone. Like I just called him up just to chat.
Maybe
You know,
we
like, I
need
knew
to
people
find
who
Jerry's
were interesting. Kind of the
podcast.
same thing when I first met Z. Just the same thing. Like I met
Oh,
Jerry,
yes, yes,
I liked
yes,
him,
yes,
still like
yes.
him,
We do.
You know, and yeah, I mean, so
Okay,
yeah,
I'm
I
gonna
knew
DM
Jerry.
you a note.
Okay.
So I was just trying to give you.
Oh,
just
Jerry,
descriptive
he already
details of where-
testified.
Yeah.
All right, so
Did he?
you were familiar with his
Okay,
home.
we can
you come
get
to Cherokee
his
County
name.
with
Oh
Everybody we've
God.
already discussed, right?
Yes.
Okay.
on
This
the-
trial's
On the
turning
air.
I
into
have been
more
there
of a
before
gem
several
than
times.
we
Okay.
realized.
Yeah.
So, any idea what time you arrived at the house?
Sometime in the afternoon, I'd say like, gosh, you know, I don't know what time that was. Like, what time was that? Maybe like noon or
Okay.
11? Gosh, like I said, these are, because we had woken up early that morning and gone to the 12 tribes.
And what is the 12 tribes?
12 tribes is like a quasi-Jewish, quasi-Christian cult of culture of individuals who, you know, they have like a long-standing foundation of devotees, and they have like delis and stuff like that, and they have like a minha, you know, where they sing and dance in the
A
morning and
minha?
stuff like that. And
So
that's-
you all went there that morning?
we went there that morning.
Okay, and
Um,
did Kuwani participate in that?
Well, we were all there. I mean, participate. We just sat there, you know.
You said there was singing and dancing.
Yeah,
and
no,
stuff.
she wasn't doing that. Neither did we.
Okay,
But yeah,
what were you all doing?
just sitting there.
Okay, were you
Yeah.
communicating?
We spoke to each other, or yeah, of course.
Okay,
I mean,
anything about her behavior on that day at the 12 tribes was she normal, Kuwani?
But yes, she was.
Okay. Was
Okay,
she
this is the
in
day.
a bad mood, good spirits, just,
It seemed like she was pretty normal. Like I say, she was pretty disheartened overall in general at that point. Like pretty worn down and just tired of dealing with the mental illness that was plaguing her. I'll call it that.
Okay.
And yeah, but during the 12 tribes, she was, yeah, just normal Kawani. She did have an episode, an outburst at Whole Foods later that day.
So I normally
where
do
she
when
was
I
having
have forced
panic
into
attacks
Whole
and screaming
Foods. So
and,
Same.
You know, like, but she was pretty much in the car while that was happening. I knew it was happening, but I didn't really see it.
Okay.
Like she had gotten like overstimulated.
I'd have an
or
outburst
something
spending
like that.
twice
And
what
some
it's
kind of
normally
trigger,
worth.
were you
something.
interviewed by law enforcement in this case? back in December?
Yeah, I was that day. That's the
Okay.
only
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
And
Where?
is it
Yeah,
fair to
this
say
is
that
day
everybody
of.
kind of described her as acting like herself
This is
on
the
the 8th?
event is
For the
about to
most part,
happen.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that she had
And
was
now
having
it gets
a little
worse.
bit of a
So,
freak
hang in
out,
there.
you know,
Hang in
episode,
there, chat.
in the car. But that was it at Whole Foods.
When you say
But-
freak out episode,
Yes.
you know, in the context of what we've already discussed about her being a little bit of a spitfire and speaking her mind, when you say freak out episode,
I'm talking like on a whole other level from. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
On a
is
scale
it
of
something you observed?
1 to normal
freak out
to
episode
10,
you're talking
kill
about,
your
did you see
baby.
On the 8th.
Yes.
Actually, I knew it was happening. I knew that she was having a hard time because Z was just like, Z got out of the car and he was like, you know, Kawani's like, needs some space right now.
Okay.
But no, I didn't actually witness that.
Okay, so let's just talk about the stuff you actually saw. There
Okay.
was an incident with her in the car on that day where he said she needs some space.
Right, and so
Okay.
I just went into Whole Foods by myself, and
Okay.
I needed some food, so I went into Whole
Of
Foods.
course
got some
you
food,
did.
Came back out, got in the car, and then we took back on the road to Jerry's.
Okay, and did he give her some space whenever he said she needs some space? Did everybody give her some space?
Oh no, I think he was like doing what he normally does and talking to her and trying to, you know, like guiding her back to, you know,
Calming her down?
trying to get her to come back to him, you know, in like a
Okay.
place of like normalcy, like, you know,
Okay.
wholeness.
You don't know what that conflict was about? You
No.
didn't see her?
No, I
Okay.
don't. But I mean, so I could only make assumptions.
Okay, we don't
So,
want you to do that.
Yeah.
So on the 8th, when you get to Jerry's house, you said it was around the noontime hour, there's at least 3 or 4 cars and the group of you. What happened when you got there? Where did all of the women go?
Okay, so everybody went into the house,
Mhm.
except for me. I stayed out in my van and I took a nap.
Okay? And did you assist in moving any of the stuff out of the house?
No, I did not.
Okay. And at what point did you wake up from your nap?
I don't know what time that was.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Is there anything that awoke you?
Sometime, yeah, Z woke me.
Okay, and
Yeah.
tell me about that.
Well, I was sleeping in my van, and Z was like, "Hey, I got all this stuff," because I wanted to take a nap, and he was cool with that, and he was loading up all of his stuff, and he got all of his stuff loaded. And he said, "Hey, go ahead and wake up." And I woke up, and I got up, and I was standing in the driveway, and Jerry was in the garage, and Shaylee, Gamliana, and I were all standing in the driveway.
Okay?
Yeah,
And what happened next?
I heard Z scream.
Okay, and
Like
what did
this.
you hear him scream?
No, just like this, like at the like this terrified, painful scream, like just like a scream, like it was like shocking, you know. Like Z doesn't really scream like that. That's the only time I've ever heard him express any sound that even closely resembled that.
He was kind of a
It was-
Was he
bitch at that
typically
time.
Quiet?
No, he just doesn't. You know, I mean,
He
the
screams like a
trauma,
girl.
the pain. It was just a scream of utter, just so much pain was
Okay.
in his voice. And so I didn't even know what had happened. I had no idea what had happened. But I was outside and I told Gami, I was like, "You need to call 911 right now." And so she started calling 911, and I ran inside the house. Shayla had
Oh,
already run
call
back
the
in house, and
man.
so did Jerry.
Okay.
When we heard him scream.
Hey,
like that.
Natalie.
You
But this is how I
previously,
remember. Maybe Jerry wasn't standing outside. I feel like these details are probably more or less irrelevant. But at one point, Jerry was standing outside. I don't know if Jerry was still in the garage right there
Mm-hmm.
at the house when I heard Z scream. But Gami and I definitely were. And I told her to call the cops,
okay,
to call 911 because something was definitely wrong. Like I had no idea what had happened, but it was a scream of pain and like something like bad, you know, like.
you previously testified that you're not a call the cops kind of guy, and you're
So-
obviously sitting here wearing orange.
That's
So, tell me what about what you heard made your first instinct be call 911?
You know, I can't really remember. I don't remember. I just remember hearing the scream and perhaps like. I
It's
can't
the
even
pain
remember
of
what
somebody
happened.
destroying
It's
one's
been so long.
incense.
It's like, I don't know exactly what the sequence of events was, but something compelled me. I said, Gami, you need to call 911 right now. And she did.
Okay.
And I ran
Brandon, you're in
inside,
for a treat.
And then I ran upstairs because that's where the scream was coming from. And then I walked into this like really horrible thing.
Okay, what happened when you walked into the room?
I walked into the room and there was blood everywhere. And Z was, I'm gonna talk through this one. Z was trying to give Nimsy like mouth to mouth, like she had obviously had some laceration wounds to her neck, and there was like blood everywhere.
Yeah.
And Kawani was laying on the ground, and she had tried to kill herself by stabbing herself in the chest and in the throat, and she was bleeding profusely. And so I was just went into shock, basically. Like I
It does seem like
very
he's
little
lying.
or no experience, especially with a child. Like I mean, I witnessed a couple things, but not like this. And so Z's like giving his daughter mouth to mouth, trying to like breathe some life back into her, and she's like gurgling her last breath. And Kawani's laying on the floor, bleeding profusely.
Was Nimsy still alive when you went into the room?
She was on her way out.
Okay,
Like I mean, she was gurgling, but she wasn't moving, and she looked very not alive.
okay.
Buried,
And,
not alive.
Tell me about your interaction with Chloe. Kawani, sorry.
One is either alive or not,
and
sir.
Z said keep pressure on the wounds. And so I did.
He
I
was
went down
just-
and I kept
that
pressure
whole
on the wounds.
performance was a bit
And,
strange.
I tried to just stop them from bleeding. I was using my sweatshirt and my hands to put pressure on the wound that was on her chest and on her neck until the paramedics got there.
Okay. And how was Kawani reacting to you? Was she saying anything or doing anything?
She was saying that she wanted to see Nimsi one more time, and she was actually trying to push me away. She was, you know what, earlier I said there was only one time when I touched Kawani, but that was the second time, when I was trying to save her life. I was holding pressure on the wound, and she had blood all over her hands, and she was pushing my face away, telling me, stop, I'm supposed to die, and I wanted to see, and then she was like trying to lean up to see Nimsi.
But she always said that whenever she saw
because
me.
I thought that, you know, I just didn't want her to lose any more blood because there was blood everywhere and all over me and all over our clothes and all over the floor. and
Did
bed.
you try peeing on her?
And I just wanted to try to save her life. So I held her down and kept pressure on the wounds for probably about 2 minutes because the paramedics came really fast.
Okay. So she told you to stop. She tried to push you away.
Yeah.
She said, I'm supposed to die, and that she wanted to see Nimsi one last time.
Yes,
Is that what you recall?
yes.
Okay. And you indicated that you were attempting to save her life and that he
Yeah.
was attempting to save Hannah's life.
Yeah, he was.
Did you care about Kawani and Hannah?
Of course,
Do you still care about them?
yes.
Okay. And after this happened, did you maintain a relationship with Kawani?
Actually, yeah.
After she was arrested, did you all continue to communicate with her?
Yeah, she called from inside jail a lot.
Okay.
Oh, jail
and
calls.
We had a chance to speak a couple times, yeah.
Okay. And
I would
do you know
love
for
to
how
hear
long
those.
she maintained a relationship with you and Z and the other women after she was arrested for murdering Hannah?
Gosh, I can't remember. I have no idea.
Okay.
A while, more than a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And were you a part of some of those phone conversations?
I was, yeah.
And what was the tone of those phone conversations?
Pretty, like, mellow, really. Like, just, pretty, just, you know, she's in jail, and, we were talking to her and just reminded her that we love her, and that, even though this was like a
Hey,
horrible
Diane.
thing, and we forgive her. And we know that that wasn't her that did that. And we still love her and care about her, and we forgive her for that. Because we know she would never do that.
And did she continue to express love for all of you?
Yes, she did.
Okay. And have you maintained contact and stayed in contact with Z?
Yeah,
Okay.
He is a
Have y'all
bold
discussed
Amber
that, you know,
Heard.
You still care about Kawani and you don't want anything bad to happen to her?
that's right.
Okay. And have you discussed that it is your desire that she go to a mental hospital and not be in state custody?
I mean, honestly, when it comes to that, I feel like my opinion is that this woman has suffered enough, you know, with all of her, you know, I can imagine having to deal with knowing that that you lost control of your own mind to the point where you know, killed your own daughter. Like, women don't kill their babies. Like, that's really rare, you know, and when you do see it, it's usually a case of like, the child is unwanted. You know, that's not what this was. This was not an unwanted child. This was some kind of deep thing being expressed through Kawani that started, like I say, the trauma that fractured her, I think began when she was a child. And Z did what he could to help her with that, and so did all of us, and it ended up being this really horrific thing. And I do think that basically, like, I know that, I mean, I just don't think that prison is the place for her. No, I don't.
Okay.
I
And
don't
have-
think that I think that she's just gonna degrade, and these prisons are horrible, you know? and
Oh,
they're
well,
just-
that's,
Have you stated
Let her out
previously that you
then.
think she suffered enough and that you all believe she needs to be free in society?
I mean, that's a question mark. Like, free in society, I think that she should be, I think that it should be acknowledged that in the term of what we'll call, you know, not guilty due to insanity, it's like you hear about people using this as a cop-out plea, and this is actually like one real one, you
Okay.
know?
And we've discussed that you don't know what the law in Georgia is, right?
I don't, I mean, I'm just trying to speak as as much familiarity with it as I have. you
And my
know?
question is whether you.
I'm an
have
expert,
stated
even though I
that
don't
you
know
think she
much.
suffered enough and that she should be free.
Okay, I think that she has suffered enough. Do I think that she needs to be immediately free? I don't know. Maybe. I think that she could be, you know? I mean, I don't think that she's a harm to anyone. I don't think that she's a harm to
Oh,
society. I
really?
don't think that she's a harm to herself. But maybe she is. Maybe she does need to be institutionalized. You know, I think that that's should be determined by a professional.
When's the
not me.
last time you spoke to her?
Gosh, it was a while ago. Like, a couple years ago, you know?
how do you
I don't
know?
know.
See?
Do I personally feel like Kawani should be free. Yeah, but maybe not. But maybe I'm wrong. Like I say, I think that should be. I do personally feel that.
Dude, make up your
And
freaking
You
mind.
have to understand. Like I have zero toleration for abuse of children.
Zero
I think
toleration.
the laws aren't strict enough on those who abuse children and individuals. If it is so the case that Kawani was abused as a child, that her abusers should be brought to justice. And I don't think there should be a statute of limitations on that.
Did you ever tell Detective Cruz in the investigation of this case that woman chose to do what she did today? She took those actions, she made those choices?
I don't remember saying that. No.
You don't remember saying that?
No.
And the
Objection.
person
This
that
is stupid.
stabbed Nimsy to death, do you see her in this courtroom?
From what I understand, I didn't see her do it, but Kawani's sitting right here in this room.
Okay.
Yep, that's her.
Over here?
Yep, that's her.
I don't have any other questions at this time.
All right, cross-examination.
Here we go, chat.
Look, he said to let her free, but then he said, I don't know. Maybe she does need to be put away.
He thinks NGRI, but
Yeah, just making sure.
But he also said he hasn't got a goddamn clue.
yeah. I mean, it doesn't hurt them.
It doesn't. I don't know. I think it hurt them.
The state?
No, I don't think it hurt the defense.
Really?
I think he come off as such a goddamn loony.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Spillers.
Hey.
Nice to talk to you again.
It's useless to them.
You
Hey,
and I
Brennan.
first spoke, I think that was Friday or Saturday while you were at the jail by
Yeah.
Zoom call, is that correct?
Yeah, we sure did.
Other than that conversation, we've never talked before.
No, we have not.
You never reached out to us to try to speak to us in any way about this case.
Actually, I have.
Did you?
Yeah, I tried to
I've
tell you about my
I've
urine
brought several
therapy
messages for you
Okay.
over the past few months.
While you were
numerous times.
Yeah, I was in custody.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
I offered you my urine. It's
Okay.
magnificent.
Yeah, I probably called you half a dozen times. I was told that you were the.
I called you half a
that I
dozen
needed to talk to you probably like
times.
4 months ago. I've been locked up since July.
What?
And I have called you many times trying to get in touch with you to reach out. And just let you know that I'm here.
Yes, the guy in the red in the back is amazing to watch.
Perspective.
Okay.
Really?
But before
He's-
Saturday.
he's
when we
having the
talked,
time of
no,
his
No,
life.
this is
we
the
had
first
never
time we've
spoken
spoken.
before.
Yep, that's right.
We had never talked at one point about what your anticipated testimony.
I tried to get you on my YouTube
Absolutely
channel.
not. No, your questions for me on Saturday are mostly in the nature of my relationship with the group. We only talked for 30 minutes.
Right.
I mean, I've been on stand now for 2.5 hours.
Yes, sir.
You know?
I didn't have a chance to talk about
And I am
urine.
going to talk a little bit more about your relationship to the group, just to flesh some of that out, okay?
Let's do it.
But I'm going to start with.
Let's
this
do it.
I know,
Okay.
I know that's a tough day for you. I've seen the emotion on your face about what happened that day.
I care deeply about Kawani
Yeah.
and that baby too.
Yeah. I just want to understand a couple of things. When you came into the room at first, Z was already in the room, right?
Yes, it
Oh
was.
my God.
When you came in, Z was attempting to resuscitate and deal with Hannah, correct?
Yes.
When you first approached Kawani, I'm gonna call her Kawani because that's what you call her. I'm
Sure.
gonna try to keep that consistent. When you first
Uh,
approached her-
beautiful. He tried to contact the defense 6 times, right? So he goes, like, defense goes to him, oh, so just making sure, like, to clarify, we haven't had any conversations, right? And he goes, no, I tried to contact you 6 times. Like, what?
Well, he really wanted to
Was
talk
the
about
knife
his
still
urine
in
with him.
her chest,
No.
or was she holding that in her hand, or
It was
where,
on the
where
floor.
was the knife?
It was on the floor.
Okay, so the knife was already.
He
on the
wanted
floor beside her.
his high quality urine.
You didn't do anything to touch or move that knife when you walked in, when you came into the room.
Nope.
Okay. And you said that she was saying that she wanted to see her baby. She was moving up to see Nimsy, correct?
Yes.
And she said to you, "I'm supposed to die. I'm supposed to die." That's what she was telling you.
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall when she was laying there on the floor? Do you recall her reaching out to Nimsy with her right hand?
It's really hard to know. I don't. I remember her like pushing my face away, like she was trying to get me to stop, like she like wanted me to stop trying to like put pressure on the wounds. You know.
Was she also trying to get to the child? Did you think?
No, I don't even think she could get up at that point. Like she said very clearly, I can't even see. Like she says, I can barely move. I can't see. I would just want to see her one last time. And I told her she needed to be still because she's bleeding profusely, and the EMS people need to get here.
Okay. I'm not going to make you watch the body cam videos from the officers that came into the scene. The jury's already seen those in this
Okay.
case. If I tell you that one of the prior officers in this case testified that Kawani was reaching out and holding Nimsy's hand, do you have any reason to dispute that could have happened that morning?
Well, it couldn't have been that she was touching her because there's too much distance between them.
Okay.
Like there was no there was too much distance there.
Okay.
Like the baby was on the bed, and Z was trying to like breathe into her because she was gurgling blood, and there was blood everywhere. And
But if an officer says that he saw that, you don't have any reason to dispute what that officer
oh, I
said.
will dispute that.
Okay.
I'll 100% dispute that.
Okay. Have you ever seen the body cam video in this case?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Ooh, I
All
don't know
right,
if I want to see
let
body
me
cam
get
for
you back
this.
to,
So you're saying, let's be clear one more time. You're saying that Kawani's body was touching Nimsi's body, and that you're saying that if an officer said that, would I dispute it?
I'm not asking you if their bodies were touching each other. I'm asking if you recall her reaching out and touching her with her arm, with her right hand.
Yes, that's what you're saying.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying, touching the baby with her hand.
Yeah.
No, that's impossible. There's too much distance between them.
Okay. All right.
There's no way that she could have been touching the baby.
Okay. Now, you did say in response to some questions there by Ms. Gropper that she was asking you about what you thought should happen to Kawani from this case.
Sure.
You understand that what your belief is about that doesn't truly mean a lot. The jury gets to decide that, correct?
Sure, but I mean, I feel like it's a fair question.
Sure. Because you
Yeah.
saw her consistently for about 5 or 6 months.
Yeah.
And you have testified to us pretty extensively about a significant change in her mental state from when you first met her in April or May of 2020 until December of 2020, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Your testimony is, and I think I wrote this down right, you know that wasn't her that did that. You
Yeah.
know that wasn't Chloe Driver that did that, right?
Yes.
You know that because everything that you ever saw her do with that child was what you would expect for a loving mother, right? You know that because of what you saw in that child's eyes and face when that child saw her mother, right?
Yes.
You
What?
described her earlier in your testimony that the child was bright and full of life, right?
Yes.
And she got that personality, she got that as a reflection from the treatment she got from her
From the
mother.
love of her parents.
Yeah, Z too, right?
See, too.
But from her mother.
Yeah.
You said that her mother was particularly the one responsible for most of the day-to-day motherly things with the child, changing the diapers, right?
Yeah, I mean, Z changed the diapers too, obviously, but yeah, she was.
But she breastfed this child
Yes,
every
she
time,
did.
right? They did not believe in bottle feeding or
No,
formula.
she breastfed her child.
Right.
Yes, she did.
So she was up all night feeding the child when the child needed to be fed,
She was
right?
an excellent mother, I've already said that.
Yeah.
What is happening?
So you know,
She loved her baby.
you know from being with her that, as you just said, there's no good reason why a mother would ever kill her child. You know in this case that there was no good reason why she would ever kill her child, right?
No.
Okay. So just taking you back to May, when you first met her, the first time that you saw and understood the dynamic of this group relationship that Z was in.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
When you had met him previously in Asheville, you talked about the trust and that, you didn't really understand the group dynamic at that point in time.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. It was, that's kind of hard to, that's why I was so interested in their group and in their family. And so was Jennifer, this girl I was with at the time. And, that's, yeah, it's, you can talk to someone, but you need to see that type of social interaction in person to gain
You'd
it.
never had an experience relationship-wise like that, right? You never had a polygamous
No,
plurality
I mean,
relationship.
I've had multiple women that I've balanced. I've done that my whole life, really. I've
Scott,
had,
right?
like, girlfriends, if you will. But no, I had never taken the time to like introduce them to each other and be like, "Hey, we're a family now. I'm going to actually be devoted to you as a husband and show you that level of commitment and care and love and appreciation and all these things." Even though I was never really like, I always showed those things to the women in my life, but never to the level of calling them my wife.
Right.
So like I say, when I heard that, I thought it was very interesting because it was kind of what I had always done anyway with plurality in women, but actually having the intimacy and the fulfillment of having a wife, which I had always had missing from my life and I really wanted. But I never wanted to just settle for one woman, and Z kind of seemed, it was just like, oh, it just like a light clicked on in my head. I was like, oh, so you have multiple wives. That's how you do that. Okay.
And like I said, you never had that relationship with multiple women in a wife-type setting,
No,
right?
sir, I
Right.
have not.
So you were curious as to how that existed?
Yes, sir.
And whether or not these people all got along with each other?
Right.
Was the relationship built?
He wanted that
towards
too,
each other,
chat.
Rather, were there infighting among some of them, right?
Yeah.
And when you first met them in May, you found that everything was, they all agreed. They got together. They got along.
They really
worked
did.
together, right?
Yeah, it was beautiful.
It's
I was
beautiful.
inspired by it. And even like when we left, I told Jennifer, I was like, I'm about to like change my perspective on,
Let me show you. We're going to mark this. As
I
defendant's
wish I had multiple wives.
This is a photograph, I believe, that was taken off of Kawani's phone by law enforcement. You see that photograph on your screen there, sir?
Yeah.
Do you recall an instance like that in May, June at the
I mean,
beach?
that was pretty much like their life. Look at how happy Kawani is. You know, like look at her face. Look at the babies. You know, like these are just like they're just like happy people, like just living their lives.
Does that seem to be a fair and accurate reflection of things that you exhibited with them at that time in May?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I don't believe this
Again,
dude
John,
one
we
little
show
bit.
you-
I think he's the
we'll call this
killer.
one Exhibit 2, and I'm gonna see if I can
There's Kawani holding and feeding her baby on the beach. You know, like
zoom
look at
in
her
on that
face.
to make it a
like-
little bigger. Appears in that photograph, she's actually breastfeeding the child. Is that
Yeah.
clear?
Yeah.
Same photograph, time frame. They're on the beach, obviously. Does that appear to be a representation of what they would have been like in May or June of
Yeah,
that year?
yeah. I mean, like I say, when I left, I told Jen, I'm like,
I don't know
I'm doing
how
this
he
now.
did
I'm gonna
it.
have multiple
I don't
guys
know,
one
like,
day.
to
And
what
she
degree
was
he's
like- I was like,
responsible,
"What do
but
you
he
think
did
about that?" She's
something.
like, actually, she was like, okay. She was like, so I told her, I'm like, I'm gonna bring some other women into like this relationship.
You
She was
stop
really
crying
cool.
right now, Evie.
Even though I told her, you know, and I was very clear about, you know, that it was more of like an open
Yeah,
type
Rachel,
relationship.
He
you
definitely
know,
lied about something.
That I was not like fully committed to her, that I wouldn't see other women. But she wasn't like fully committed to me either. It was more like an open relationship, kind of that we were both okay with that circumstance.
Yeah.
We did, even though we did live together.
Okay.
And I told her, I was like, man, we should move another girl in. And she's like, if it could work like that, then okay, you know. Like this is a woman who 24 hours before, she's like, I don't know about this. We have to go like see these people and see how this works. To, you know, we get down there and we see. She's like, okay.
That
She's like,
ultimately did not work out though with you and Jen.
no, it didn't.
Right.
You know, that's a whole different story. So.
Judge, I will move to tender defendants exhibits 1 and 2 at this time.
Any objection?
But yeah, Jen said, you know, if it could be like that, if it could be the way that they are with each other, and they're not like jealous, fighting, bickering little women, you know, who have, you know, like all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like the things that you would expect, like the jealousy and fighting and bickering between women. It was not there.
Okay.
And we stayed for a week, and we saw them in and out. And you know, like when you're around somebody for a week straight, like we were really observant.
Bickering little women.
So yeah, I mean, I can't say enough about how their
You're
family
right.
is working in this beautiful kind of way.
All right, and then your next interaction with them together was roughly in September when you went.
I love
Yeah, I
casual
saw him a couple times.
sexism.
Like I say, I remember seeing him.
Oh my god,
saw
that
Zia
guy's
at the-
going
I
so
met her for lunch
bald.
at The 12 Tribes one time over the
Oh,
summer.
yeah.
I met Kawani and her parents at the river.
He looks like the
one day
crypt
in
keeper
June.
whenever he bends his head
Yeah, so the
down.
next extended time that you spent with them was September up at
Yeah.
Z's parents' house.
Yeah, I need to use this real quick. My nose is yes, the next time I was with them extensively was in September at Z's parents' house, and Mike and Michelle Joyce's house in Bristol, Connecticut.
I'm gonna show you now.
Sorry, I'm gonna object to publishing all the exhibits before they've been admitted. I don't know what else he intends to get into. The state's previously provided an exhaustive list of all of our exhibits, but I have no idea what he has on there. that he-
It just.
He's like,
photographs
what's that
of her
woman
and the child during
saying?
the time frame
Shut the
that
woman up.
We're
We
talking
just
about.
review whatever he's seeking to admit before. we
Why is that
publish
woman
it.
allowed to
I
talk?
just don't have them printed out. They're just here.
Oh, okay, no objection to this.
Are women just allowed to talk around
No
here?
objection, they're the same ones during.
What is happening? My whole mind
This
is
photograph,
blown right now.
Mr. Smith,
Women
I believe, was taken
talking?
In August, so maybe slightly before your visit with them in September, but does that seem to?
I always thought they were like children.
How you
Yeah.
were
They're to
seeing,
be seen but not heard.
Kwani and Ninzi at
I guess
that period
let's
of
play
time?
around on the beach.
Yes.
Yeah. Be
So
silly.
That is this defendant's exhibit 3, and we'll move to tend to that, I guess, as well.
No objection.
It's admitted.
At least the
And then
judge isn't
in
a woman.
September,
She is.
when you were
Is she?
in Connecticut, you were there for about 2 weeks,
Oh, I
right?
thought it was a man.
And I think you said that you stayed in your van for the most part, slept in your van while you were there?
Yeah.
Kwani, Z, Ninzi were in his parents' home?
Yeah.
Right? And at that point in time, his parents knew her, knew the other women that were involved, right? They were well aware of the relationships that he had.
Yes, they were.
Okay. Did he ever talk to you about a time in which he took Kwani back to his house in Connecticut before the child was born, when they first met, and he had her living in his parents' basement?
Yeah, I do remember him talking about that, like briefly, like that's how they met or something like that. That's when they first met.
Do you recall him telling you that he kept her in the basement because he didn't want his parents to know about her at that time? That he
No.
took food down there to her?
Definitely not. And they
Kept her in the basement?
Okay, this would have been not September of 2020, I'm talking about before that.
Oh, yeah.
when they
But I
first
mean,
met.
Oh, it
it's
was
not
due
like
to
some lady
COVID.
got somebody in her house and doesn't know about it. That's impossible.
Okay.
So, you know, like, that's just not our thing.
Okay.
You know, like the idea that, you know, that they didn't know that he was keeping someone in her house, like, yeah, right, have you met her?
I don't know.
Okay, well then you would know, like, there's no way that's like,
Okay.
yeah, but no.
I got a
never talked about
basement
that. That just strikes me.
basement wife, a ceiling
You
wife,
knew
an
it was
attic
family.
wife.
You don't think that would have happened?
I don't think that's possible.
Letterbox
Yeah.
wife.
So in September, though, in Connecticut, your
Kitchen
testimony
wife,
is that you
best
saw,
cook.
begin to see her, a change in her personality, a change in her.
This
her
guy
Yeah, a
is
radical
so-
change.
Yeah.
You know, she struck Z when I was there. And
Oh.
that was just like so, like, you know. just
Women
like,
don't do that.
like,
No.
This is when these
Only
episodes
Z
were starting
strikes
where
her.
She would basically zone out or be in a catatonic type
You wouldn't
state.
even notice
Is
that.
that right?
Yes.
When she was in these states, she would
Yeah,
come out of
you
them
wouldn't.
and not have any recollection of what just happened. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Um,
And I witnessed this many times.
Yes.
Especially because it developed even more when I, you know, into October and through November, it was severe. I've
I
never
kept
seen
telling him
anything
he
like
needed to
was
strike
she
his
telling
wife.
you the type of things that she was hearing or seeing during these delusional spells? Would she tell you that she was hearing voices?
Well, not really like that. No, she was more expressing it as just like this, like aggressive.
She heard my
manic,
voice a
like,
lot.
Thing, you know, she would talk about all kinds of stuff, but you know, it was like really hard to you know, and I was listening attentively and with care and respect for
Oh,
Kawani when she was expressing
really?
these things, and you know, it's like certain things that she would say kind of made sense sometimes. You know, like they're like she would talk about like gosh, I can't even remember these things specifically. Like she would talk about like evil in the world and like, you know, like but there is a lot of evil in the world.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not like everything that she said, but some of the things that she was saying were completely like,
But she was expressing to you that this was evil that she felt like was directed at her, right?
definitely.
Not something that she was just talking about.
But
like-
just like an ambivalent force in the room as well, too.
Yeah.
Like not just like an indirect, like just the presence of evil.
Yeah, she sensed this.
Yes.
It's not like she was mad at the war in Israel or something. She was feeling the presence of a body,
Whoa!
the presence of an entity that was.
Well, I'm guessing
coming
you're
towards her,
Jewish
or
now.
Directed towards her, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, she was.
This
I don't know
was
why you
so
brought that conflict
profound
up.
to you when
Well,
you saw her in
because of the
September,
Jew
and such a
connection,
difference in
I
how she
suppose.
was in May.
Oh.
You recall talking to Z about this and
Oh,
telling him
that's
that,
funny then.
you know,
Okay.
she needed to get some help.
Yeah, I did actually. I was like, dude, you know, I don't know, but I mean, I was trying to say
That's-
like maybe she
okay.
should go to an institution or something like that. But at the same time, I've never been to one of these institutions.
No,
Like, I
they
don't
had,
know, and Z has a
Jewish
lot of familiarity
names.
with these things.
Yeah.
You said you told us in your conversation we had with you Saturday, your sister has some
Yeah.
relation to social work, right?
My sister has her master's degree in social work and behavioral sciences, and she works as a counselor. And you know, I have a very close relationship with my sister, so we talk about these things. And I pride myself in being an intellectual and having the ability for divergent thinking and to, you know, gain objective understanding for concepts rather quickly. You know, so I've always excelled and been in like, you know, the top of my class kind of guy. So I speak with Chelsea, my sister's name is Chelsea. I speak with Chelsea and I've spoken with her about these things, and you know, we spoke a lot about Kawani when this was happening with her.
And I'm not gonna hold you to an expert in psychology by any means,
Yeah.
or psychiatric issues, but you believed, and I think you even told Detective Cruz this in your interview, that you believe that, in fact, Kawani was suffering from specific disorders, such as bipolar or schizophrenia, that type of thing, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I do think that. I do think that some kind of individual could, but it's like these things came on very suddenly. So it's like I was telling the state earlier in my testimony, and that's why I didn't really push it too far when Z said that he didn't want her to be institutionalized, because this wasn't like how she was all the time. So so perhaps I'm incorrect, you know, because to diagnose somebody with schizophrenia means that they have schizophrenia, not that they have schizophrenic-like episodes. Do you understand the differential here? It's like, that's how I'm viewing it
you
now. And
understand?
honestly, you know, at that time, you know, I had just witnessed Nipsey breathe her last breaths. And, you know, I'm trying to save Kawani's life. So, you know, it's like, I don't even really remember that interview with Tiana Cruz myself. There was like a lot of trauma.
You were still in shock to some degree
Dude,
about
I
what you
mean,
just
I'm still
gone through, right?
traumatized by this to this day.
Yeah.
You know, like this is like a huge thing for me to deal with.
But Z's response to you reaching out to him about what you were seeing and your concerns, he did not want her treated.
He didn't want to put her, well, his expressions were very clear. He didn't want to put her in an institution where she would get less care and less time and consideration than what she was getting from him and from her sisters.
He didn't want pharmaceuticals
And he
for
didn't
her.
want her to become some brain dead pharmaceutical girl, you know, and
He didn't want that for
Brain
for
dead
Kiwani, but he also
pharmaceutical
didn't want
girl.
that for Nimsy, right?
thank you. Yes, that's where I was going. Like, you know, she's breastfeeding this baby,
Yeah.
and you know,
Ah,
he didn't
doesn't want to go
that,
through to the
and,
baby.
he didn't want her to be institutionalized because she has this, you know, he was trying to keep their family together, man, you know, and I respected him for that, and I respected him for trying to do it organically and without drugs.
So let's talk a little bit about this CBD here.
do it.
That was State's Exhibit 87. I think when you testified earlier, I thought you testified that you had bought that from a store, but maybe I misunderstood. You got it from a friend of yours. Who
I
had
bought it from an
right?
individual, a woman who's in her 50s, who works in the CBD industry.
Is her name
Ew.
Kylie Cross?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So this appears like in this jar, it appears to be something that was homemade or manufactured by someone and put in that substance. Is
So-
that fair?
I'll tell you what I was told.
Okay.
Oh,
I was
here we
told that
go.
was manufactured in a large quantity, and that it was processed in a legal type circumstance, and that it was legal to be
Yeah,
sold
right.
in stores, but it
That
was
does
excess
not
that she had access to.
Look like it's
But
like
you don't.
mass
That's how you
manufactured.
got it, right? In that
That's,
jar.
that's exactly how I got
You were
it.
told what it was. You were told it was CBD, but other than that, you have no reason to understand that it's CBD or anything else, correct?
I'm just going by what I was told, yes.
Okay. And you had used some of that yourself.
Yes, sir, I had.
And I think your testimony earlier was you didn't think that it had much of a effect on you.
It really didn't.
Using it for your shoulder, I think.
Yeah, I got a bad, I have a bad neck and a bad rib. I did jujitsu for like, you know, years and years.
And it didn't really give you any relief.
the
It
thing.
did in a way. It did a little bit, you know, but I discontinued my use of CBD.
Okay.
You didn't have any side effects from it, such as delusions or paranoia or concerns like that, right?
No, sir, I did not.
Interesting.
But you definitely saw what you believe was an increase
Killing
in
your offspring.
paranoia and delusions from Kiwani that occurred at the time she was taking this substance as well.
Yes, sir,
right?
I did.
Did you believe that the CBD or whatever this stuff was causing her symptoms to get worse?
Not at first. When she first started taking it, I gave it to him in September. And then that only progressed until, like, that was way later, and she was the one who was saying that. Because I don't, you know, her delusions, it was like, it's hard for me to differentiate, you know.
He's trying to
was
blame
this
the
actually- but
CBD?
she was the one
Has
who started
someone
saying that.
tested
She
this
was telling
shit?
you that she was having concerns.
I
that
doubt
the
it.
substance was causing.
She was telling us, and then Z started to, like, pull it back and, like, stop giving it to her.
Okay.
You know?
Ultimately, and you talked a little bit about this
Evie.
earlier, the nature of this relationship and the control, and I don't mean control in a necessarily a negative way, but the patriarchal structure of this family, right?
Yes, sir.
Ultimately, Z had the final decision about whatever was happening in his family, right?
I mean, yeah, for the most part, but these women were hurt. You know, it's not like these were not oppressed,
Sure. I mean, they-
silenced women. And by no
Surely
means.
they tested
In fact,
it.
very much the opposite. Like I say, you know, he wakes up every day. It's like we want to talk. He wants them to talk. They were encouraged to speak. They were encouraged to speak their minds. They were encouraged to tell how they were feeling. You know, so he could be a better man.
But if Z felt like the CBD was something he wanted to have her use, he would be the one to say, let's use that,
Well,
right?
he was vehemently opposed to it at first, but she talked him into it.
And he did agree to
And
it.
he-
Oh,
agreed
he
to
listened
that,
to
yeah.
the
But if he
woman.
had not agreed to that, she would not have been able to use it.
That's not an alpha
Yeah,
male
I mean,
then.
that's pretty much the nature of a relationship.
Yeah.
You know, unless two people are in agreement.
Some kind of patriarchy.
Okay.
Like,
He must
no,
be so
don't think
beta.
he would've- Just like he didn't want her to use pharmaceuticals, you know, like I said, she's breastfeeding a child. and
Did
she's-
you ever tell him that he needed to stop giving her the CBD?
No, I did not.
Never.
No, I didn't.
Now, again, this time frame of September when you're in Connecticut, October when you're in Virginia with them, despite the concerns you're seeing for her declining mental state, her treatment of Hannah was still 100% top-notch motherly
It
treatment.
really was.
Right.
Like, it really was.
Top notch.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple
Apart
times
from the odd
where,
stabbing.
you know, she was so out of it and had
Hey, every
these
mother has a bad day.
episodes of panic and
Every mother
discomfort,
regrets, you know.
violent aggression, you know,
Certain
where,
outbursts.
you know, I felt like she wasn't her best self as far as like giving Hannah all of the attention that the child needed. But that was uncommon. You know, that was only like a few times because you know it's like when she's manic and like screaming and pulling her hair out. You know, it's like there's a
Yeah.
baby in the room.
When
Like
she was in that state, she obviously couldn't be a good mother.
there were a couple
to the
times where
child, right?
I had to hold the baby because you know she was like Z was like here hold the baby. You know, like because Kiwani's like becoming aggressive and violent and screaming at the top of her lungs in public places and you know.
But
like-
nothing that she ever did during those times, nothing that happened while she was in those delusional states or those paranoia states, nothing she did was ever violent, aggressive, or harmful to Denzi.
No. Very much the opposite. Still.
All right.
Man.
Now, when you were in North Carolina, this is, I guess, late October into November, you got back to North Carolina where you live, right?
Yeah.
Candler. That's not, it's like a suburb of Asheville, is that right?
Yes.
Peggy, how far does Peggy live from you?
In Candler?
Yeah.
South Asheville's like 20 minutes.
Okay, but your house from Peggy's house is same distance, or
What do you mean?
where you live versus where Peggy lives? How far apart do y'all live?
20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Peggy lives in South Asheville,
Okay.
off Overlook Road.
Okay,
I live in Candler, 41 Oakdale was my address.
okay.
And I would say it'd take, 15, 20 minutes to get over to South Asheville.
So when y'all were in North Carolina, was the rest of the group primarily living at Peggy's apartment with her? Or were they
Actually,
staying in both places?
Yeah, basically like both places, but I let my house out with them. I let them stay at my place.
Okay.
When we came back from Virginia Beach. They stayed at Peggy's for a little while, and then Z asked me, and we stayed there, and then Gamiana started doing the dark therapy there at my house. So at that point, they were staying at Peggy's. And that's where she was during the events that happened on November 25th.
Yeah.
And that's why she wasn't there, because she was doing a dark therapy, like I say, for her own pursuit of a higher vibrational frequency.
What?
We'll come back to that November 25th incident in just a minute.
Okay.
But at that point in time, they were staying at Peggy's house. Is that
Yes.
fair to say? Okay. So let's talk a little bit more about the group dynamic and some of the stuff that we're practicing. And you talked on this earlier. This was a patriarchal driven dynamic, right?
Right, well, Z's like the center, Z's like the, he's the man of the house.
He's the
and
center of
calls
the
himself a
universe.
prophet, doesn't
That's
he?
what you were going to say.
prophet.
Yeah.
I don't know that Z would use that word to describe himself.
You never heard him call himself a
Oh,
I've
prophet?
never heard him call himself a prophet.
You never heard him call himself Prophet Elihu?
No.
No? If he told Detective Cruz that when he was giving her his name in an interview, would that surprise you?
Eliyahu?
Yeah.
Eliyahu's his given middle name. That means Elliot. That's a Hebrew
Eliyahu.
Okay,
name.
but if he called himself prophet, that would surprise you.
Well, my
That
middle
kinda-
name is
that kinda- That
Ilya.
kind of would surprise me that he would use
It
that
means gift
word.
from God.
Do you recall
Is that-
him talking about
Yes.
at times
Chat.
Z or
Oh,
any
God.
women in the
I
group?
shouldn't have said that.
Chat, chat, chat. We need
No.
to start calling Dolly Ilya.
God, no.
Ilya.
No, I hate it so fucking much.
Ilya. How do you spell that?
I'm not telling you.
Oh, well, too bad. I'll just make up how to spell it. Ilya.
For
Ah.
fuck's sake, that's how you spell it.
Ah, ha, ha, ha.
Meanwhile, my dad wanted to call me Satchel, or my dad's first choice was T-Bone. And then second choice was Satchel.
Hang on a minute. I just need to fix this banner up for a second.
Oh, fuck me.
And Dolly's Dolly's new name equals Ilya. Okay, cool.
I think it's Russian or Czech or German. No.
Is it? Well,
It's
I
Europe.
think it's Ilya Satchel.
Yeah, oh God.
Ilya Satchel T-Bone.
Ilya talk.
Ilya talk. That's fantastic. Thanks for that. I like it. It's
God.
better than Elizabeth. Yeah, Ilya Dragunov.
The
That is it. That's just you're gonna regret that.
I already do.
You do. Okay, Ilya. Thanks for that. That's a super gay middle name.
Yeah, you coming after them and how to get them.
Yeah, there was some talk about that.
Okay. Part of the idea of this trust system, as you talked about,
I'm
was
so glad David isn't here right now.
keeping your property away from the government.
Sure.
You have a, let's say, healthy distrust.
Yes,
Wow.
old line red. Pause.
Yeah,
For the record, old line red. Yes, that was why my dad wanted to name me Satchel.
There's an actual person called Satchel.
Yeah, Satchel
Really?
Paige. Like
Okay.
an iconic baseball player.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. It's not as bad as Ilya, though. Dear.
I mean,
Or
it's
T-
a weird.
Is T-Bone a real name? Like, come on.
No,
That's
it's a
like-
cut of steak.
That's what you call a dog or something.
No, it's what you. It's a cut of steak in
I know
America.
it's
Okay.
I know it's a cut of steak.
Yeah, well, that's what he wanted to name me after.
Yeah, it's very cute that we're now going to call Dali Ilya forever.
God damn it. That's what I get for
Yeah.
staying up past 6
Part
p.m.
of the trust idea is that it insulates your property and your income from taxes.
Yes, it does.
Oh, is he
That's-
black?
that's a fact.
Well, that's pretty cool.
And at the time that you were with this group from May to December, Z didn't have a job, did he?
No,
Nobody else in the family had a job, right? None of the wives had jobs.
no,
Kawani's job was being a mother to this child, right?
that's right.
Do you know what source of income they were living off of?
I know that all of their finances are private through their trust.
But you don't know how they got it.
I mean, that's,
Do
Brad.
you know anything about him submitting loans to the government during COVID, PPP money?
yeah, I do remember there being some talk about that, but,
He just said
Some loans up
trust.
in the name of a religious organization that they got money from?
okay.
I mean, are you aware of that?
I mean, I remember them doing that, yeah, but, I mean, I didn't really like know all the details about that, you know, but I do remember that, yeah, I do remember them being, them using the trust.
What about also this belief in this group that there are only 168,000 souls that are alive in the world?
What?
You familiar with that?
Oh, it's like the
You-
last
Is that
148,000 or
something that you hold
whatever.
as well?
Is my belief, what's on debate here? How does this relate back to, I'm trying to understand
Just
where
trying to
you're,
understand the nature of this group
okay, the nature of the group in relation to the death of the child, or,
and the relation to what they believed.
okay? What does that have to do with the death of the child?
Mr. Spillers, I get to ask you questions about what I would like to ask you questions about, as long as they're generally relevant.
Okay,
I'm
I'm
asking you
trying to
questions
understand how
about
this
the
is
nature of
generally,
this group.
trying to understand how this is generally relevant.
I'm trying to understand why somebody believes that there's only 168,000 alive people in the world.
I personally believe that there's only 500 million bodies in this place, that the population records are all lies, and that there are much less people than there are now.
And
that
they
there are
all
only
vote
about
Democrat.
500 million people instead of 7 billion.
So-
It's like when you go to New York City, and there's like, this is why I believe that. And so when you go to places like New York or San Francisco, or you go to any major city really, all you have to do is
Nafka got
count.
it.
You know, so we're talking about
Africa
population
what?
demographic, and we're talking about.
I said they all vote.
uh,
They all vote
you know, a
Democrat.
specific number of people that they say, like they say there's 2.5 million people on Manhattan Island. So all you have to do is go and count the people. You know, all you have to do is drive by and look at the traffic. All you have to do is like do some mathematical equations, which would really lead you to believe that there are significantly less people than what they say.
Well,
Oh, go back 10 seconds. Go back 10,
What?
20 seconds.
questions about it.
Oh my fucking god.
So all you have to do is go and count. The
I need to
people.
be in bed, but this is amazing.
You know, a specific number of people that they say,
Just
like they say,
watch
there's
her
2 million-
face.
2.5 million people on Manhattan Island. So all you have to do is go and count the people. You know, all you have to do is drive by and look at the traffic. All you have to do is like do some mathematical equations, which would really lead you to believe that there are significantly less
Her face.
than what they say.
Well,
So
let me put
what
it
does that have to do with Nipsey?
It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with Nipsey, sir, but I'm gonna ask you questions about it for a reason. Let me put it to you this way. You're
Oh,
from
go back
South
10
Carolina,
seconds. I missed him.
right?
Yeah.
Born and raised there.
The guy in red.
Familiar with the necessarily have anything.
Which
No,
would really lead
okay.
you to believe that there are significantly less people than what they say.
Well,
So
let me
what
put
does
it
that have to do with Nipsey?
It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with Nipsey, sir, but I'm gonna ask you questions about it for a reason.
Okay.
Let me put it to you this way. You're from South. You grew up in North Carolina, right?
The face of a woman who was insane and is
Familiar with
now
the idea of college football?
sane.
Sure.
This weekend, there's gonna be a football game between the University of Tennessee and the University of Georgia in Athens, and there's gonna be about 96,000 people that fill a stadium. Do you not believe there's 96,000 people that are gonna be sitting in that stadium watching a football game?
I mean, if you see them and they're there, that doesn't mean that there's 7 billion people in the world. The population charts and the demographics and the census records, I think, are a lie, much like a lot of other things. You know, there's a lot of lies in the government, sir. So, yeah, I mean, how much of these lies would you like to expose here?
Okay, if he starts talking about the Holocaust, we are ending the
I
stream.
mean, how much fact-based information are we going to discuss?
Well, let's talk a little bit more about some of that in a second. When we get to this idea about the polygamy relationships that he had with these 3 women, there was a 4th wife that he had previously, is that right?
Yes.
You're aware of her named Gabriella Kuykendall?
Yes.
You ever met Gabriella Kuykendall?
No. I haven't.
Were you aware that when she had a child with
Oh, finally relevant.
The guy in red is just having the time of his life.
Yes.
And I think it's relevant to to his understanding.
Oh God, he needs to bring up the flat Earth.
Mary testified he never met her.
I'm not asking him to
All right,
matter.
overrule the objection.
You're aware of who Gabriella Kuykendall is, right?
Yes,
You're aware that she had a child with Z, right?
yes,
You're aware that she left him in the middle of the night with the
Maybe
child
a
and
little
basically ran away from him, right?
okay.
Matter of fact, it took place at the same house where this incident happened on December 8th of 2020. Did you know that?
No,
It happened at Jerry's house.
okay.
Oh, this happened, I think, when
Part
I
of
started
what Z
streaming
was
and
trying
missed
to
it.
do with this group was to grow this group, right? He was constantly looking for other women to bring into his group here, right?
Are we not all constantly seeking the companionship of compatible individuals?
I'm asking about Z right now.
Okay.
Wasn't he always trying to talk to other women about bringing them into the group as well?
I mean, sure, yeah.
Part of what he ultimately
Expanding
wanted to
his
do was
flock.
to have multiple children with multiple wives as well. Is that right?
That's what I want to.
Okay. He, in fact, right now, Anna
Yeah, there's
just
a,
had a
there's a
child,
beautiful baby.
Aww.
Yes, she did.
and Selig is pregnant today, right?
Shayla's about to have one too.
Oh, he's so happy.
His mentality is to grow his religious following, right?
You just used the word religion, which I feel like is inappropriate.
Okay, his mentality is to grow his following.
His mentality is to find like-minded individuals to participate with each other. As is mine,
But
and that's what attracts us.
Gold
But Mr.
bolting.
Skillers, he and you don't look for like-minded individuals. You and he look for strays, like castaway dogs on the side of the road. Isn't that true?
That's really ridiculous.
Isn't that
Are you
not what
calling
you
them
told him in a
bitches?
phone call with him at the jail just a few days ago?
Is it?
I'm asking you.
I don't know. I mean,
You and he have not talked about treating these women like strays? Finding these
What?
women that you can bring into your group and treat them like strays?
Strays?
That's not a comment that you made on a phone call?
I don't know, maybe, and maybe it was made in sarcasm, you know?
Maybe
like,
it was.
Like, I don't know. I don't remember. every single
Maybe
word
it was.
Oh
said.
no, poor
But no, I never
Stray,
treated
we're
women in my life
Stray.
like that.
Oh no.
You
Stray.
definitely treat them as submissive individuals, right?
No, I treat them as.
Women are subservient to you, right?
He can explain his answer.
So, yeah, so what's your question again?
I said at first that you treat them as
I
subservient.
said it
No,
first.
I don't.
They're subservient to you though, right?
I think that women should be in a place that is yeah, sure.
In servitude of the man.
Absolutely.
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 Meaning that Benjamin or Z or Brian Joyce, whoever he is, he controls what they do. And
No,
if they
I
don't
mean,
do
there's
what
a-
he wants, they can get out, right?
Of course.
Right? He controls what they wear, right?
So you're asking.
Yes or no?
You're asking me.
Yes or no
I don't
first?
know the answer to this question.
He controls what they eat, right?
We have already discussed that there
love
is
this. I
a
love this so
standard,
freaking
and
much.
this is the same thing that it is with me and women that I've had in my life since then. Since I've had in my entire life. When I've been a vegetarian, women who come into my life they're vegetarian, or you can not be together.
Right.
Yeah, so
If-
you're manipulating this into a control thing when it's just a standard that's set. That can
Oh,
be
you're
avoided in any life.
manipulating the
Focus on the
word.
guy in red.
Go have a hamburger at Wendy's. He'd kick her out of the car, right?
That's really a petty and childish way to describe something, and I mean, your rhetoric is utterly offensive. But no, I mean, why would she want to have, what would motivate her to eat an animal? She's the one who's,
Yeah, Wendy sucks.
Maybe she really didn't believe in all that.
maybe.
The guy in red.
You testified earlier that she didn't really get to talk to her parents much, right?
She was raped by her parents when she was younger and abused by them, according to her.
My question, sir, is she didn't talk to her parents much, right?
She did from time to time.
Are you aware there were times where Z would take her phone from her and she wouldn't have access to her phone to make calls to people?
Not when I was around.
Never saw that.
Never. I never saw him limit them like that. I mean, Shaylee, like, they still do things, you know, independently, like, if you want to use that word.
His control extended to you too, right? He told you you could never touch her.
Yeah, that's a very common orthodox thing, that men do not touch each other's wives. And I respect that.
Oh,
Well, I'm not suggesting that men should touch each other's wives in any other sexual way. I'm just, a handshake.
I'd
You couldn't
love
even
this
give her a
part.
handshake.
Why would I
love
want
this
to?
part
Why would I
so
want to touch
much.
another man's wife?
You started drinking urine because of him.
I started drinking urine because Peggy Schindler told me about it, and I
Don't
did my
drink
research
right now.
online and did some self-education.
drink.
Perhaps you should do the same.
But Peggy Schindler, I'm not drinking my urine, sir. Peggy Schindler got that information from him, right?
Did you? I don't
I'm
think
asking
someone
you.
told me about it. I don't know.
Go back.
She knew
I
him.
need to rehear
Yeah, I
that.
mean, so what? Like, so there's like millions of people who drink their urine. There's like forums online with, tons of individuals, and this has become way more mainstream.
I'm asking you-
I did my research online and did some self-edification. Perhaps you should do the same.
But Peggy Schindler, I'm not drinking my urine, sir. Peggy Schindler got that information from him.
We need that
right?
clip.
Did she? I don't know.
I'm asking
Maybe
you.
someone told me about it. I don't know.
She knew him.
Yeah, I mean, so what? Like, so there's like millions of people who drink their urine. There's like forums online with, you know, tons of individuals, and this has become way more mainstream. And now there's like all kinds. Like I say, I mentioned Troy Casey, and I'd like to drop his name again because he's like
Oh,
a
drop his name.
really
Write that down, Jory.
prominent influencer online. And yeah, so I heard about urine therapy from Peggy. I immediately did my research about it, and I've heard about people, you know, surviving on their urine. So I knew that it wasn't going to kill me, so I tried it. And then
And you said you do it daily.
I did.
Do you still maintain contact with Z?
Sure do.
Day-to-day contact?
Oh
Sure do.
God, you
You've
should
called
have
him probably
gone
10
further.
times since you've been in the jail here in Cherokee County, right?
Sure have.
You've talked to him, I guess, beginning in August or September, even through today, about the mental state that you saw from Kwani at that time.
Totally.
And your belief is, and you continue to tell him that your belief is that she was insane. I'm not making it the legal standard of that, but you felt like she was insane.
I mean, yes, I do. I mean, call it insane, call it whatever you want. It's like, you know, this woman was like outside of her ability to discern what was even happening, and her behavior was erratic and out of character, and she would go in and out of these phases. And yeah, I would qualify that as insane from my perspective. I've never seen anything so severe in my life.
Okay. Now, let me back you up to this incident in November in Nashville with Miss Sandra Torres.
Let's do it.
And I know your testimony from what you told Ms. Gropper is that you believe Ms. Torres was the instigator of an aggressive, violent act here, right?
Most definitely.
Okay. You did acknowledge that you were the one that got arrested
Yeah,
based on that incident, right?
Yeah, she was the one who called the cops.
Yeah.
So,
And you left, right, before the cops got there.
yeah, before I got shot by a woman who was threatening me with gun violence.
You could have stuck around and talked to the cops about that, though, right?
So you're saying that I should have put myself in harm's way?
Well, I don't know, maybe you drove a mile up the road and called the cops yourself. You didn't do that either, did you?
No, I didn't.
You left, before you left, Z had put Chloe in the car with the baby and took off, right?
Kwani got in the car by her own free will, and it was actually her that insinuated that they needed to leave.
Okay,
Like I
Miss-
said earlier, because she could see the,
But, sir, Ms. Torres called the police because she believed there was an issue going on there, right?
Ms. Torres called the police because, I mean, I don't know why she did. I mean,
She didn't have anything to do with you all,
yeah,
right?
that's what I'm saying. That's why it's so bizarre that someone would go so far out of the way, especially like I say, when I was carrying Kwani across the road, one of the
You were
individuals who
carrying
lived
a
in the
woman
apartment complex was
Against her will
that
across
walked
the
out,
road.
and she
Oh,
walked by
wow.
us. And
Why didn't
asked
she
if we
mind her
needed
own
help.
business?
And I said, no, we don't.
So maybe that lady just didn't want to involve herself with what was going on with you, right?
Or maybe that's probably what a normal person would do if they, you know, saw
Oh my
some
God,
woman
Amy.
having a panic attack and all of the individuals around her trying to help.
Well, calling the police does
Well,
not
he knows what
necessarily
normal
call
women
them
do.
to get somebody in trouble. As you know, sir, you called the police yourself on December 8th because you knew there was a bomb.
That's more like emergency medical.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's what calling 911 does. It gets law enforcement, it gets medical personnel, it gets EMS people out there to determine what the issue is, right? And if they believe that Kwani was having a medical emergency that needed to get attention, they could take her to the hospital. They could take her to see a doctor, right?
Sure.
You didn't want that to happen.
I don't think that my desire has any reflection on the.
Z didn't want that to happen. He was the one directing that they get Chloe in the car and get out of there, right?
Actually, like I said, it was Kwani that like initiated the sequence for them. to
She
leave.
was telling Miss Torres to call the police.
Check your DM.
No,
She was telling Miss Torres to call her parents.
She was telling Ms. Torres that she needed to call her parents. And then Ms. Torres began behaving erratically, like I said, and began behaving belligerently and aggressively and threatening us.
When you
And
left-
So then Kwani said that, I mean, she initiated the sequence for them to leave, like she could see that this woman was like this drunken, I mean, you could smell the alcohol on her, you know, that she was just this, you know, drunken individual who wanted to involve herself and make just, you know, probably so bored with her own life or whatever, that she wanted to cause drama and involve herself in somebody else's business that had nothing to do with her.
You believe that Miss Torres involved herself in someone else's situation so she
Yes.
could get attacked by you and receive a broken eye socket?
Yeah.
Sir, this is a picture that's dated November 25th of 2020.
Okay.
That's a picture that Miss Torres sent to us. That
Okay.
She took of herself that day.
Continue to object to publishing evidence that has not been admitted.
I'm not admitting it yet,
It's
Judge.
being published to the jury, it's not.
Yeah, you're
Well, you
publishing
can't do
it.
that.
So I've already told, I just told
Why
you the
is he
story of what
showing?
happened.
He's showing the
And,
jury something
you
that's
know,
not being
that was never
admitted.
brought to trial. So your assumption,
Yeah, it was never brought to trial, sir, because you pled guilty to that.
I was never brought to trial because they would never give me a trial. I sat, yeah, that's very much what happened. I mean, you can make assumptions and, you know,
Sir, I'm not making assumptions.
You are making
I've seen the
assumptions.
documentation of your
I love
sentence
this-
that
I
you
love
received
this
for that
part
case
so
out of
much.
North Carolina.
yeah, I know.
It
Like I
says you
said,
pled guilty to assaulting and inflicting serious injury as a misdemeanor on Mrs. Torres.
pursuant to Alfred law.
No, it actually doesn't say pursuant to Alfred law. That box isn't checked at all. It says you pled guilty.
Then that's misinformation. You could pull up the court.
Misinformation. That's fake news, chat.
August 29th, 2023.
That's
And
the date that you pled guilty.
Yeah, I mean, it says, the judge said very clearly before the court that it was pursuant to Alfred law. So perhaps you have some kind of,
So you're saying there's a mistake in the
It
document?
would be
Yes,
on the
there is.
court
Okay.
record,
You
sir.
You understand an offered plea is still a plea of guilty though, right?
yeah, but the reason why I pled guilty is because they were actually, so they didn't give me they were refusing to give me bond dates, they were refusing to give me court dates, they were refusing to give me a trial.
They refused to give you those things because
That's
you
very
violated your
fake
bond
news.
before, is that right?
Yeah, I was actually framed by the, and false evidence was submitted against me by Buncombe County.
Really?
Absolutely.
Have you
Really?
initiated a civil lawsuit against them for them?
Not yet, but I have spoken with some civil rights attorneys, and I have not initiated that sequence yet, but I have spoken with several attorneys.
And sir, you're currently incarcerated by the federal government, right?
Yes, I am.
For threatening a man online, right?
That's an allegation, which,
Yeah, I understand it's an allegation. You haven't been convicted of anything. and you stand absolutely
That
innocent
red
until
shirt
proven
guy.
guilty.
then I think that we should, you know, not talk about that.
I'm
Oh,
not
you
gonna
think
talk
we
to you
should
about it.
not?
I'm not gonna ask you what you did. I'm not gonna ask you who it is. I'm not gonna ask you any of those questions, but you are currently charged with that,
Yeah,
right?
fair.
I've currently been charged with a crime.
14 counts of crimes, correct?
Is it?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Counts 1 through 14
okay.
for communicating threats to kill someone.
Yeah, like I say, that's a,
Correct, beautiful. Hold on. He's saying that he took an Alfred plea. However, it's not in the court records.
Correct.
So if it's not in the court records, he didn't take an Alfred plea.
I mean, he's trying to say the court records are wrong.
That's what he's saying. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. I find that very difficult to believe, even in Georgia.
Yeah.
Right. Like even in Georgia. Come on now, please.
Yeah.
Please. I mean, where's J Rock? Is J Rock around? Like, it's just. I know things happen.
I
Like,
mean, maybe he
Georgia's-
thought it was an Alfred plea.
Maybe someone said Alfred plea somewhere to him, somewhere. But if he were actually to take an Alfred plea, it would be in the court records.
I mean,
He pled guilty.
one or two of the Young Thug defendants did. They took
Yeah.
an Alfred, or at least on one of the charges.
Oh, hey, J Rock. Yeah, what's the chances of him taking an Alfred plea and it not being in the court records?
Or in the court records is guilty.
Well, he pled guilty
Yeah.
he's saying under an Alfred plea,
Yeah.
right? Chances of that not being recorded, zero.
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 Okay. Okay.
Zero. Yeah, absolutely zero. He's full of shit.
still,
That's not the first time you've been charged with communicating threats to kill somebody either, is it?
can you specifically,
I can.
no, it's not, that's, I've never actually read.
I can.
Kylie Cross,
Kylie Cross.
the girl you got the CBD from.
Kylie Cross, I had a sexual relationship with her, and I told her that, and she stole $1,600 out of my dresser drawer, and I told her that if she ever came back to my house, that I was going to end her. I didn't say I was going to kill her.
That's what she
And
thought.
her. What? This is suddenly the Sarah trial.
That's
This
why
is
she
like-
went to the police and had you arrested.
Yeah,
That's why you were charged with threatening her.
I probably should have taken that one to trial because I feel like I would have
That's,
won.
that's due, I guess. You should have taken a trial, but you didn't. You pled
You
guilty to that
should
one, too.
have.
Yeah,
You
I
got
should have.
probation and 45 days in jail on that case too, right, sir?
It was actually, I'm still trying to figure out what this has to do with Hannah. and
Well,
what she
don't worry,
was
to do
guys.
with
He
you.
never harm an animal.
Okay, and,
I get to ask you questions and it has to do with you.
okay,
But that's what you did. You threatened her And you spent time in jail
Yeah,
because you pled guilty in that case.
I mean, a lot of the circumstances in my life, if I really would have just like, called the cops, and I should have called the cops on Kylie Cross when I caught her stealing $1,600 out of my drawer, but I couldn't really prove that. And like I say, I mean,
Maybe it didn't happen.
just as you're proving right now that there's like a real.
I guess the
sinister
hippie
nature
realizes
by your
he
tone
should have
and your,
called the cops.
I mean, we're here to talk about a baby, and all you seem to want to be is obsessed with me. So it's like, I mean, I'm
You're
just
just
like,
gonna be
I'm
obsessed
not
with
obsessed
me.
with you, sir.
then stop asking me questions about myself and let's talk about the crime that
The
happened.
guy
I'm
in
asking
red.
you about sinister things because you've committed sinister acts.
Saying-
And I'm asking you those things
saying
because of how they
something-
have affected this young lady as well.
Saying and doing, these all happened after this incident with Coin. All of these circumstances happened after this incident with Coin.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
So do you
Yeah,
want
it goes
to
to you
like,
being a piece of shit,
maybe,
sir.
Give some, maybe we should talk about the trauma that I experienced and how that has affected me and,
Me.
what has led to me being irate with people. And like I say, the Sandra Torres thing, I'm happy to talk about that because, I mean, I want that. I plan to appeal that to the Superior Court of North Carolina.
Oh, you
And
do?
I plan to.
It's
I've
too
already
late.
spoken to
You
civil
pled
rights
guilty.
Attorneys about the false evidence that was submitted against me in Buncombe County.
So you're testifying, your testimony earlier was that you never struck Sandra Torres in the eye.
No, I didn't, and there's like some evidence that would prove that in the motion of discovery.
So how did she get the black eye that she says she got in those photographs?
Who knows? Like, I mean, there was like. so
I can
she-
show you other photographs from her of her black eye that developed over the next 3 days. Would you like
So
to see them?
she went to the hospital, and her hospital visit was 4 hours after the event. Maybe it was her son, the one who came and slashed tires. Maybe she had her son punch her in the face.
She might have, but we don't get to know that, sir, because you pled guilty to assaulting her.
Well, I-
You pled guilty to doing exactly what she says you did to her, which is punching her in the eye.
I had been held for
Pled
22
guilty,
months,
dude.
and I felt that I had a really strong civil rights case, and that's only been a year ago. Like I say, I've already spoken to civil rights attorneys, so I did. I wanted to. I pled guilty pursuant to Alfred law because I wanted to stop being oppressively persecuted by the Buncombe County government and get out so I could.
You were in jail a lot of that time because you violated your probation in your case with Kylie Cross as well, right?
No, that was not the case with Kylie Cross.
You were on probation for that case from 2022.
No, I was not. That's so I had actually become off probation, and it was it
And
wasn't
then
a
I
violation of
violated it.
probation. That can I have some more of this water? It wasn't a violation of probation.
Hang on, I'm running out of piss.
Incarcerated on the 5th of April 2023.
Sorry, I have to go back to my jail cell and top up.
So I did 10 months in jail. I finally made
Take a
bond,
piss
and
break.
they held me for 8
Can't
months.
breathe this, come
I'm happy to
back.
talk about this. This is like a really good venue. I appreciate being able to speak this out before a court because this is all factual information that's going to come out later. And yeah, so after they held me for 8 months on 24-hour
Oh,
house arrest,
hold on. She's looking at him
there
like,
was
God
a
damn it, dude.
document submitted to the court by a DA, a specific
No more
DA
piss for you,
that was
sir.
targeting me, named Amy Laura Broughton, and there was false evidence submitted to the court. She brought this photo of a Facebook post that she said that I made, but it was right there on my, it was not on my
what is his
Facebook nor did I make
Facebook?
this post. And so, like I say, there was false evidence submitted to the court.
I'm writing down this
in order
stuff.
to
I have to go to bed.
persecute me and
soon.
frame me, and that's
But
the. And I've
I'm
already,
gonna look
like I say, I've already
tomorrow.
spoken to several civil rights attorneys about this, and they say they have a very strong case. So,
B.
moving
Ivory
forward with
Lamar
that in
told
due
him.
diligence, and I absolutely have every intention of appealing that guilty plea to the Superior Court. in
You're
North Carolina.
gonna appeal a
Making sure that I
guilty
get a fair
plea?
trial, because that's the whole thing. They didn't want it. That's why they held me for so long, and they were refusing to give me court dates even by law. But like I say, and so like I say, I pled guilty to that to end my incarceration. But yeah, I came here today to tell my experience with Kawani and give an account to my
I know,
observation
Kay.
of her and her mental health decline. And I'll say it again, that I do feel like not guilty by reason of insanity would be the correct call.
Oh,
for my
Jesus H. Christ.
Oh, no
professional
one cares
perspective.
what you think now.
Perhaps there's something, I just don't feel like.
Oh,
like
I
said,
cannot
she
wait
would never
for
do that
Z
to her baby.
to
And this was
testify.
just like, she was like not herself when she did that, and I want her to know that I care about her and I forgive her and I love her.
She doesn't
very
give a
much.
shit.
And that's it.
She hates
Can you
you.
read it
She
out?
clearly hates you.
Mr. Spillers, you indicated that you had had multiple conversations with her after she was
Wow.
arrested for murdering Hannah, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And when she called Z from jail.
Okay. And so you indicated the nature of those was communicating how much you all love her and that you forgive her for what she
I'm
did.
so
Yes.
Did she ever
traumatized
tell
by
you
that
why she killed Hannah?
testimony.
No, I don't think she ever really did. I mean, she spoke to Z about it. I remember, and
Oh,
I'm
you
giving
missed
you
a
secondhand
lot,
information
David.
here. that
Don't do that. I'm asking,
Oh,
did she ever
God.
tell, when you talked to her, did she
I
ever
don't
tell
remember her
you?
ever saying anything about that.
Okay, did she ever tell you that she told the police
Have you ever
that
told
she
a
killed
witness
Hannah
you're
because
not
she just
drinking
wanted
your
to
own
be with her
urine?
baby and her husband, but he refused?
What do you mean?
Did she ever tell you that that's what she told the police? That she just wanted to be with him and Hannah, but he refused?
Oh, no way.
Okay, you've
No,
never heard that
definitely.
before?
Nothing like that.
Okay.
No, I could tell you something, but I don't know. I mean,
Did she ever tell you that she told doctors that she killed Hannah because she thought it was the only way for her and Hannah to be able to escape the situation?
no, definitely not.
You've never heard that before?
No.
No.
Any further cross-examination? All right, then we are going to let you take a recess, members of the jury, until 3 o'clock.
He's like, I'm done for a
Leave us
piss.
your notepads, don't talk to anybody. We are going to,
Ah,
as I said, ask you to be back at 3 o'clock in the
Oh,
jury
fuck
room. But
you,
you can
David.
step downstairs, walk around, take a break, and we'll see you back at 3. Thank you.
I haven't had any since this morning. Holy.
all right, I'm going to bed.
Okay, yeah, see ya.
Yes, we'll look into this more tomorrow.
All right, so I think what we'll do is we'll if Z testifies tomorrow, we might do that. We'll see. So yeah, when I go to bye. See ya. Yeah, if you guys like Dali and Scott, you guys tend to keep track of things. If you guys can like let me know what happens when I usually wake up around like 4 p.m. your time, something like that. Yeah, let me know in the Discord if there's been anything awesome during the day, and we'll just watch the best parts of this. I don't like dead baby trials at all. Anything about kids being brutally murdered, I would rather not watch the whole thing. Let's just watch the good bits. Because yeah, I'm not there for like the whole medical examiner and all that. No way. I'm not in the mood for all that stuff. So yeah, let's just watch the crazy people. How about that? How about that? Who's up for that, chat? You want to watch the other bits? You can go watch it on Court TV or whatever. Because yeah, I'm not down for all that stuff. Tough trial, yeah. But yeah, I'm just there for the characters. Cool. Thanks for hanging out, guys. That was fun. Yeah, the trial's going to be quick. Cool. All right, sweet. See you guys tomorrow. Love yous. Don't drink anything that you that comes out the wrong hole. All right. See yous.